Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera Passions. I am your regular host, Latara, back today with our regular guest, a very regular guest host, Maria, and a guest host who is less regular, but we have seen a few times, Jessica. Welcome both to the show.
That is, yeah, I like that sound.
Well, the horn?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Like, more than the cheering, like that really gets me.
No, I'm so excited to have y'all back on the show. Actually, originally Maria was not supposed to be on this episode, but she had watched ahead.
I crashed through because I had to talk about it.
She had watched ahead and she saw what it was. I didn't even know because I didn't watch the episodes until this morning. Mm-hmm. And she sent me a message, was like, "Hey, I want to be on next week." I think you said something last week too, and was like, "Hey, I want to be on next week. There's some stuff coming. I want to be on next week." Mm-hmm. I was like, "Okay, I'll add you in." So I already knew it was about to be some bullshit. So we watched episodes 796 through 800. Can y'all believe that? 800. We're not to 1,000 yet, but we're close.
It's almost there, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So
and it's only been 3 days in Passions time.
Yeah. Well, I was surprised to hear Kay. Surprised to hear Kay this week say to Grace, like, a specific amount of time. She's like, for the past 2 years since Charity showed up. So now we know, like, in Passions, in Harmony, it's been 2 years.
That isn't really confirmation. They say things like that, and then they're like, "Oh, last week." It's like they just.
Yeah, that's true. But
space-time continuum in the show.
I feel like for me, anytime they say something like solidly, is once they put it out there, for me, it's like a hard and fast rule, and then I get mad every time they like break it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, it's been 2
I try
years.
to justify it that, like, when they go to sleep and they wake up, we're not necessarily getting the next day. We're getting like 3 months later.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, for sure. So before we get into the episode, we're going to give a shout out to all of the wonderful, fabulous, beautiful, amazing patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe. Well, wait, this is the wrong list. Give me a second. Give me a second. All right. Thank you to Munashe, Lisa, Sid, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Eric, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria, Lisa, Jessica, Jean, who's here as well, Laura, Karen, Uche, Paige, Casey, Garrinch, Tom Bergeron, Daisy, Shane, Kelly, Taylor Harris Crane, DJ, and Kelly. Thank you all for being patrons. As a matter of fact, I was on the phone with my mom a little bit ago, and she was like, "Hey, am I still a patron on your Patreon?" I was like, "No."
Why?
I haven't said your name in said your name in quite a time. No, my mom, I don't know what it is, but every other month, her debit card is like,
oh, I remember you saying something
compromised.
like that. So it was like too much drama to like constantly be like dealing with that being denied and stuff.
Yeah, and so
That's me usually.
I didn't do anything. Patreon like automatically just takes you off if you haven't paid, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so one day she just wasn't there anymore. I didn't think anything of it, and I realized, I was like, "Oh, it's because of her debit card." So I never said anything to her about it because my mother supports me plenty. And she was like, she asked me about it today, and I was like, "No, you're not. It's okay." And she was like, "No, I'm gonna do it. I want to support you. I want to support you." I was like, "Lady, you support me plenty." As a matter of fact, I am currently waiting on a washing machine that my mom bought.
That's so nice.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for my washing machine, y'all. It's supposed to come today.
She just wants her shout out. Okay.
She's
mad. She's not getting her shout out.
She does want her. Please, that lady does not listen to this show. And I like it like that. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah, I would hate that if I knew my parents were constantly. It would make me very on edge.
No, my grandma actually one day randomly, she was like, "Oh yeah, I like your podcast. It looks very professional, but I didn't know you cussed like that." What do you mean? Joanne, what do you mean you've been watching my podcast? She's like, "I just missed you and I wanted to see you." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet, but turn it off."
Yeah, but stop that.
Like, literally FaceTime me if you want to see me. Yep. So, anyway, that's enough about me. Thank you to all the patrons and the Patreons over on Lord, about to say Patreon on Patreon on Patreon. Yep. Thank you. If you would like to become a member, go on over there and sign up and come and hang out with us at a watch party, or we had game night the other night, which was a lot of fun, and a lot of discussion going on in the Discord. It's a lot of really good discussion going on the Discord, actually. So definitely come and check us out if you want. So with that, it's time to talk about this show. Talk about passions. We're going to start. Buckle up, everybody. We're going to start with this plane crash of Theresa, Ethan, Gwen. I shouldn't call it a plane crash. You know, we got a lot of that going on.
It's literally on the show be a plane crash. Yeah. And in this, yes. Oh my God. I do.
It's actually real plane crashes happening every single day right now. Yeah. But, well, we just watched one in real time. These people. So let's pick up with Whitney showing up to the mansion, and she is talking with Theresa, and she says to Theresa, wait a minute, after, I'm excited that you're still alive, but after all that you've been through, you're still determined to be with Ethan after everything? And Theresa says, yes, I am, and I would do it all over again in the name of love. And then they have their same old tired conversation we've heard a million times, right? About Ethan. Yeah. And Theresa says that she and Ethan, belong together. But then she says that she and Ethan share a special closeness. If having sex with somebody means you share a special closeness, let me tell you.
Well, that was her own logic, but Gwen beat her to it.
Yeah. Well, she did say to Gwen, they had sex and she and him made love, I guess, is her silly little logic. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she says she and Ethan share a special closeness because they made love that one time. And she says, one day you'll understand, because one day you'll make love too and you'll understand where I'm coming from. And then Whitney tells her, actually, Chad and I made love and we're together. And she's so excited. It was crazy. She's so excited. And then immediately is like, but I think I have to break up with him. Girl, what are you talking about?
Same Whitney crap. Like, she's, of course. But yeah.
Yeah, the same old Whitney crap. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So Theresa's thrilled, and then she gives her like this speech, because Whitney's like, yeah, my mom was telling me about how fragile Simone is, and if she ever got her heart broken, then she could have a breakdown, and that's why I have to end my relationship with Chad, and I can't see him anymore. And go for it, Jen.
No, it's just insane. And it's like, if anything's going to make someone have a breakdown, it's like people gaslighting them and pretending things are happening that aren't happening, pretending and like entertaining that he is her boyfriend, essentially, is what they're doing. They're like letting her think this thing. That is what makes you go crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I would lose my shit when I found out that everybody knew, and everybody just let me walk around in delusion.
They're all making kind of like being like, ugh, behind your back. It's like, oh, thanks for telling me. I had
her own best friend, everyone, her mother.
Yeah. So, Theresa, it's funny because right now Theresa's about to be actually a really great voice of reason. She's the unlikely voice of reason, right? So Theresa gives her this wonderful speech. She says, you're not taking Chad away from Simone. She never had him. Chad never loved her, and you're the one that he loves. And she says, this whole thing with Chad is just in Simone's imagination. She's never had any reason to believe that Chad was her boyfriend. No indication whatsoever. And so Theresa says to Whitney, why are Simone's feelings more important than yours? I loved that. I love that.
Yeah.
She said, why are Simone's feelings more important than yours, or Chad's feelings for that matter? And then she says, somebody's going to hurt at the end of this. Make sure it's not you and Chad. Like, I'm sorry, but Simone's, that's just the way things work. Like, y'all are in love with the same guy, and only one person's going to be able to get him, and somebody's going to be hurt at the end of it all, and you just need to make sure it's not you. But then she says, like me and Gwen, like, Gwen, she's just going to have to get over. She actually says, I have nothing against Gwen, but she's going to have to get over it, because not Chad and I, Ethan and I are gonna be getting back together.
Yeah, hold on. I have that clip.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm not going to give up on Ethan, and I am not going to let anyone keep me from getting him back. I don't want to sound heartless, but if it means that I have to roll over Gwen's dead body to get him back, I'll do it.
She gotta do what she gotta do. Yeah. I was with it. I was with her. I was like, yeah.
Over her own dead body?
She said, if it means that I have to roll over Gwen's dead body, and Gwen rolled over Theresa's dead body. Did she not? She rolled over Theresa's dead body and got.
But she didn't kill her.
But Theresa didn't say anything about killing her. She said, if I have to roll over her dead body.
I feel like that was implied.
No, all she said was, if I have to, if she happens to die, if somebody plots on her, not me, somebody else, the way her mother and his mother plotted on me, then I mean, if I have to, I'll do it. I'll roll over her dead body to get there. I think she was just saying, if she dies.
If she dies, randomly, like so random. Like, she's like, I think it makes more sense that she's like, if I have to roll over her dead body, meaning like,
if I have to kill her
down. Yeah, if I have to put her ill.
Semantics.
We can't ask them. So,
but yeah, she says Gwen's gonna have to deal with it. Gwen actually is listening outside of the room at this point, and she replies like, "Think again, bitch. Like, you're not gonna roll over my dead body. I'm gonna be rolling over yours, bitch." And she says, "I will not let you take Ethan so easily this time. I will fight tooth and nail." And then she goes downstairs where she overhears another conversation between Chad and Ethan, because Chad and Ethan have taken the baby downstairs for a bottle and they're having a conversation. And so they're, of course, talking about Theresa, and Chad is basically advocating for Theresa to Ethan and saying, you know, how can you be with Gwen? It's not really fair to Gwen when you're still in love with Theresa. Ethan admits, which it's never a question if Ethan loves Theresa. So I only use the word admit, like, for lack of a better word, but it's not like some great revelation that he's like, oh yeah, I love Theresa. Like, that's always the case. But he does say and agrees. Yeah, he agrees and says, yeah, I do love Theresa, but that's not enough. You know, she lied to me, and I think a marriage should be built on honesty. And like, all of a sudden we're talking about marriage when Ethan is in no position to marry anybody. You don't even have a fucking job. Like, you don't even have a home. Not an apartment, not an RV, not a tiny home. He doesn't have anything to his name.
Yeah.
A degree that he probably bought. He
Ethan, is the worst lawyer.
He's the worst lawyer.
He's never gotten anyone off on anything.
Very, very bad at his job.
Are you saying that because it makes sense, or is that true? I feel like it would make sense if that was actually literally true and I missed it.
That he never got anybody off?
Yeah, like, if over the course of the show, in any legal action he actually has tried to help in, has he fucked it up? Like, up
to this point, like literally up to this point, Ivy lost her case. Theresa lost her case. Right. Like, yeah, I can't think of any other ones right now, but up to this point, he is not doing very good at the lawyering thing.
I think in the future, though, he does win when it comes to taking little Ethan.
Probably.
Custody. I think that's when they won, because I don't think they got a different lawyer. So Ethan, I think, represented himself. Okay,
I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
We can then give him props for the first case.
Yeah,
I'm not giving him props for taking little Ethan from Theresa. I'll never give him props for that. I would never give him props for that. So anyway, Chad is telling him, you know, it's not fair to Gwen. And can you really tell me that you don't still love Theresa? And Ethan's like, no, I do love her, but I can't trust her. I can never marry her. And Gwen hears this. She doesn't hear the portion where he says, I couldn't marry her. She only hears the portion of, I love Theresa. And she's like, I can't believe it. She's stealing him from me again. She's not stealing him from you. He's saying he loves her. Right, and so then she bops back upstairs and listens outside Theresa's room.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
Listening in.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she bops back upstairs and listens into Theresa's room. So she misses the portion where Ethan says he could never marry Theresa because he doesn't trust her. And so
Chad is continuing to try to push this narrative of like, it shouldn't matter that she lies to you because what matters is that she loves you. And like, that makes no sense.
Okay, so what happens is, and I agree, I kind of agree with you on this, Maria. I do agree with you. It's just Chad's like reasoning, the connection he makes is so silly to me. So they're talking about like Theresa in this conversation, and then the conversation turns to Chad and Whitney and Simone, and Chad explains that he and Whitney are basically lying to Simone, right? Are keeping from their relationship from Simone, and that they're in the predicament because Whitney loves Simone so much and doesn't want Simone to get hurt. And so then he says, every time that Theresa didn't come clean with you, it's only because she didn't want to hurt you. She didn't want to risk losing you. And I'm realizing that now because me and Whitney are in the same exact boat. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
And he says, Theresa lied to you not to save herself. Theresa lied to you because she loved you. And I appreciate Chad's like what a friend. Chad, that's what I want to say. Chad is a very good friend to Theresa, especially. But also I think he thinks he's being a very good friend to Chad, Jesus
Ethan.
Christ, Ethan.
Ethan.
I ate some eggs earlier and they tasted kind of funny. I'm really hoping
It's slowly get greener and greener.
I'm really hoping I don't have bird flu.
Oh.
No, I'm sure I don't. But I did have a moment when I was eating the eggs and I was like, this tastes weird.
Tastes like bird flu.
But I kept eating.
Eggs are expensive. That's like the delicacy nowadays. Okay.
Exactly. I couldn't let them go to waste. They were like $11. It was like $1 an egg. Okay. So whatever. What was I saying? Chad's being a good friend.
Compare his relationship and what they're doing to Simone as the same thing as what Theresa has done to Ethan.
Yeah, and I said I do think that he's trying to he's being a very good friend to Theresa, but I also think that he thinks he's being a really good friend to Chad. Jesus Christ,
Ethan.
Ethan,
doing that.
Oh my God! I think
because there's a point of projection there. He wants it to be true so that he can justify his relationship with Whitney.
It's for him. I keep having that same slip, so I must really think that he's doing it for selfish reasons.
Yes.
But yeah, he thinks he's being a good friend to Ethan, and then Chad just keeps advocating for Theresa, like very hard. It was like an episode and a half long. Like it was they were down there having that conversation for a while.
And this conversation, and this like theory that Theresa lies because she's doing it to protect Ethan, I'll give her the whole going to jail thing. But all the other lies before that was not to protect Ethan. It was to protect herself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't have in my notes that the words were that she was doing it to protect him, that he was saying that she lies because she loves you. And she doesn't want him to be hurt by like the things that happened. I like the first big lie is the Julian stuff, right? And I get it. Like I get the lie, and I think if you really think about it, you get why she would have such shame around that and wouldn't want to tell Ethan that. And so I don't know. I don't think that was really to protect herself.
Still something she should have came clean and told him about.
Yeah, but she also was assaulted. That was really horrible. And I do hate that that's such a big portion of this, because for me, it's very much separate from a lie about, oh, I used to babysit, right? Like those it's two very different lies, and for two very different reasons, I feel like. And I hate that they kind of put it all together. I wish we could keep that portion of it separate, but we can't. They just kind of throw everything in the goulash and see what happens. So anyway, yes, Ethan is listening, but he resists, and he says people don't change. I don't agree with that. Look at you. You were literally a different person a couple of weeks ago.
Are you
'Cause-
talking about actor change?
Yeah.
Like that for a second. Never mind. I get it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he says people don't change, which I don't agree with that. I don't like that sentiment. And then Chad then says, well, can you really look at me and tell me you can live the rest of your life without Theresa? Ethan avoids the question, notably. Ethan avoids the question instead of just answering and saying, yes, I've made my decision. He's like, no, oh, the baby's crying. And he goes and like picks up the baby.
Yeah.
And so that kind of is the end of that. Chad does point out sooner or later, you're going to have to answer that question for yourself. Whether you want to say it to me or not, doesn't matter. But at some point, you're going to have to decide and really contend with that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
But in a way, he already made that decision.
he did make the decision. He didn't answer the question when Chad posed the question when he said, can you live the rest of your life without Theresa? That was the question he avoided.
Obviously loves her. Like he in a way that is just like he's in love with her chemically, like he can't help it.
Yeah. He definitely is in love with her. And he has to make the decision to leave her the fuck alone. Maybe start by getting out of her house.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Stop chilling with her all the time. Yeah. With babies and things.
I mean, he's there because of Ivy.
That's not Ivy's house. They are there by the grace of Theresa and Julian.
For her. So
there's nothing to fight for her anymore. She lost. He's there. Make no mistake. He is still there right now because of Theresa. Because he was going to leave when she was going to throw Ivy and them out. He was going to go with them, right?
Yeah.
And then she said, "No, y'all can stay. They're there by the grace of Theresa. Leave. Yeah. If you don't. If she really is so offensive to you, leave."
But I mean, Antonio's in his room. Didn't he give up his room at the B&B?
Did he? And what? No, not for Antonio.
I thought he did.
Antonio ain't been nowhere but the hospital and Sheridan's cottage.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
He may have given up his room to somebody. I don't know. Go to Sam's house. Go to your dad's house. like all the other children of divorced parents, go to your other parents' house.
Yeah.
Right.
Or he can go back to wherever Gwen lives.
Yeah. Yes, where does Gwen live? Go to your house. Go to her house. Why are y'all here?
Right now, she lives in the mansion with her mother.
If I was Gwen, I would be like, yeah, let's go home and pull him out of this situation altogether. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. She needs to go home. All right, so let's keep moving on. So back upstairs, Ethan and Chad go back to Theresa's room, and they find Gwen standing outside the door, and she kind of like brushes it off, like, "Oh, I was looking for you." Of course, not that she was standing outside Theresa's door lurking, like she actually was. And then they go into Theresa's room, and Theresa and Ethan continue to like play mommy and daddy. He was eating this shit up.
She wasn't forcing him into it at all. He really wasn't.
He was eating it the fuck up. And they're playing mommy and daddy, and he does something with the baby bottle to like checking the temperature. Yeah. And she's like, "Wow, why do you do that? I've never understood. I've seen people do that, but I didn't know why they did." And he's like, "Oh,
that was a lie." I feel like she was.
Oh, it was a lie. Yeah, she completely lied.
No, the whole thing, it comes out.
Doesn't know why you do that. Everyone.
Right. She of course does know why he does that or why people do that. But he's like, he loves
explaining
the idea. He loves explaining shit. And Theresa knows that about him. Yes. I just want to be clear that Theresa, has she lied? Sure. Is it a big deal to me? No. However, we know that lying is like a thing for Ethan, whatever. And we're about to get there. However, Ethan loves a damsel in distress. Like, Ethan loves a naive girl, and he wants to be able to like protect and take care of and come in and explain and show her, "Oh, you're so naive. Let me show you. Ha ha ha." He loves that. And Theresa is catering to that portion of him. She's fulfilling the fantasy. And that's what I'm going to say about that right now.
But and also using her child.
Yeah.
Because she knows that Ethan is loving being around the baby.
Like I said last week, she said this baby is going to sing for its supper. You have to put in work, buddy. You got to put in work, buddy. Teresa's like, I imagine in her mind is like, I'm doing this for both of us. Like,
Yeah,
I want Ethan to be your father because your dad is
Mhm.
Julian, and I want somebody else to be your dad. So anyway, they're playing mommy and daddy. Gwen hates it.
Oh, she's not buying it at all.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
She's a specter, like a creepy specter in the room. Like she clearly doesn't like it. Like not Nosferatu Styles doesn't like it because she's just like in behind everyone in every scene. She's so angry. Sorry, I don't. And I also do side with Gwen a little on this too. So I'm not trying to hate on Gwen.
No,
I
it's
just
fine.
think
It's fine.
it's just so obviously like, oh my, like
She was obviously
angry.
visibly upset
Yes.
by
Yeah.
it. But she was also on to her because Gwen has always been on to her since the beginning. And it's always been something that I hated, that Ethan never took her side or believed her.
Yeah.
When she's been right this whole time.
Right.
Okay, so
Moving on.
no rebuttals from me. So Chad and Whitney step outside, and then Gwen gets like very snarky with Theresa, and we'll talk about what Chad and Whitney talk about at the end of this.
Yeah.
Gwen gets very, very snarky with Theresa, saying like, I don't believe that you don't know anything about babies. And she's like, didn't you used to babysit? I just find it hard to believe that you don't know anything about babies. And Teresa's like, yeah, I did used to babysit, but like, I don't know that much about babies. Yeah. And then Gwen says, come on, Ethan. It's so obvious she's up to her old tricks, lying to you and manipulating you all over again. I just felt like this was all blown so far out of proportion. It's
So
like
crazy.
it's a baby bottle and changing some fucking diapers. Like, y'all calm the fuck down. And like, she was making it seem like Theresa, and Ethan does too, they both blow this so incredibly out of proportion, making it seem like Theresa had like done this grand plot to get Ethan.
I wanted to be around this guy and the baby and chill. Like, and she made it, she was pretty open about it. Like, she was like, let's do this. Like, I don't think it was very manipulative. I think it was manipulative as any kind of communication is on some level. Like, you're trying to feel things out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I disagree.
Well, and you know what? Let me get to the next portion, and then we're gonna talk through all of it, because I know why you disagree. I know why Jessica just said what she said, and I know how I feel about the whole thing. And there is much to be said. So, Gwen's saying, figure it out, Ethan. Get a clue, Ethan. Come on. Buy a vowel. Oh my God, DJ.
Exactly.
Oh,
open your eyes.
On a watch
read
party.
the room. Know this girl.
We were on a watch party, I think, and DJ said that about Simone, like, because we were like, oh my God, Simone, get a clue. He was like, buy a vowel. And I died. And so I just, so y'all know, I'm going to be saying that more often. And it's thanks to DJ. Buy a vowel. So anyway, she's like, come on, get a clue, buy a vowel. And she's manipulating you. And she says to Theresa, you're playing this stupid, oh, I'm so helpless game, like you don't know what to do with a baby. And then Teresa's like, what, Gwen? No, that's not. But my thing is, Theresa did just wake up from the dead, right? Like she's been alive for 2 hours, couple of hours. She did just wake up from
bed, so it's been a couple hours.
She woke up from the dead. She was drugged, and it's a newborn. It is a newborn baby. It's not outside the realm of reality or possibility that she would maybe need some help with the baby.
Yeah, and you're in a mansion full of servants, and your mother.
Yeah, but she doesn't want. But it's a newborn baby, and she doesn't want just people that she doesn't really know. She trusts Ethan. I get, and that's not exactly how this played out. I think there was a way that Theresa could have played this where she got what she wanted, and what happens next didn't happen. If she had never basically been like, if she hadn't copped to acting like she didn't know anything about babies, like she should have just flipped it and reversed it and been like, I never said I don't know anything about babies. Yeah, I did used to babysit. Things are just hard for me right now and I need some help. If she had done that, she would have been golden, but she didn't.
Her memories are kind of like wishy-washy. If she's like had a weird death thing, or I don't know, she could just be like, I don't remember anything I might have learned before. Does that
She
make
could.
sense?
She absolutely could. I mean, it works for all the other blondes in the show. Why not for the brunettes?
I feel like the very passion's way out of it.
Yeah, it's like I just, I'm just so out of it, and I don't. Yeah, it's been so long since I babysat, like, and I'm so nervous with this new baby, and
that would have worked if she didn't try the whole. Why do people do this and put milk on here? Come on,
she did do that. She was like,
it was that. It was.
I
was
never
that.
understood why they do that. Come on,
It was that.
If she had not done that, then maybe what you're saying could have worked. But she was clearly manipulating the situation. I would call it manipulation.
I think even with that, she could have flipped it and reversed it, and Ethan would have been okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, I think I agree with you that was like such a clear indicator that she's like making this up. But I do think that Ethan is so dopey that he would have just, he would have taken it at face value if she said to him, oh, no, I'm just, I'm out of it and I don't remember a lot of things. I'm a dumb girl. What can I say? I'm just a stupid girl. So anyway, when Whitney and Chad come back, because they come into this situation where Gwen is basically accusing Theresa of manipulating Ethan, and she turns to Whitney and says, Whitney, did you and Theresa used to babysit when you were kids? And Whitney's like, yeah, all the time. Why? And this sets Ethan off, right? Like, well, actually, Gwen then also asked, did you ever babysit infants? And she's like, yeah, we did all the time. And so that, of course, this is what sets Ethan off. He's like, what, Theresa? You lied to me, Theresa. You lied to me again. It was
good,
gross
and deserving.
It was so extra.
I'm with Gwen on it. I'm not with Ethan on this. He was way too intense. This whole argument was like, it was like, geez, back up a little. Like, he was like, he just was going so hard on her.
Crazy.
If this was an isolated incident, fine. But how many times have she lied? I think it's just it's just adding to all the lies. It's like, once again, you're lying. You haven't even come back from the dead a couple hours and you're already doing this again. So it's not like an isolated incident. Since she's been doing this whole time and he's been catching her this time, he's realizing, oh, you're not going to change. You're going to continue to lie.
Yeah, he says to her, Theresa, I still can't trust you. I was right. People don't change. Oh, he's so annoying.
He even asks her, why didn't you just ask me?
Well,
and she turns around and she's like, because I was afraid you would say no.
Which is
That's
fair.
not a good answer.
Which is fair.
Then accept it. Then he doesn't want to spend time with you.
Okay.
Then you're manipulating the situation. If you know he's gonna maybe say no, then you're manipulating it to make sure it still happens.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is it is her manipulating him there. Yeah.
It's just,
I just don't think anyone has the right to yell the way he was at her. Like, it's like, if you're pissed, you're pissed. If you have something you want to say, then say it. But then he kept saying it like again and again and again and like being weird. It was like this weird like authority trip or something. I don't know.
It was a lot. He was yelling at her a lot, and because Theresa's like, she tries to advocate for herself, but she doesn't do it well because she doesn't have an excuse. She doesn't have a good excuse.
Right.
And so Ethan yells at her, is like, this was you lying again, pretending not to know how to take care of babies so I would help you. And then Theresa does cop to it. Theresa does cop to it. She says that she was pretending, and she says, I was pretending so that we could spend more time together. And she said, and he says, she says to him, sorry, you can't deny it, Ethan. You loved taking care of me and this baby. You loved it, and we have been together.
Good one.
Yeah, you loved it. You were eating it up. You were eating it up because I know what you like, baby. I know what you like. I know what you want. I can give you what you need, okay? But he's upset. Understand, like, to an extent, I can understand why he's upset that she lied to him again. And I get what you're saying, Maria, about like it's the compounding of lies is that, that was like the main thing. And he does make a point to say, you and I had a whole conversation about honesty and the truth. And it's like, you didn't hear a word I said. And I think that was the portion that was really more upsetting to him, is like, you didn't hear what I said. What did you say, Jessica?
Oh my God, I don't even remember. Like, I don't even remember.
I even caught the lines because he's like, well, what did I say? And she literally isn't able to recant it. She's like, well, you said a lot of things. That's like a child admitting that they weren't listening.
Yeah.
I love that though. She was like, well, you said a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it is. No, it is her being like,
because I just imagine Theresa, and you know how you are with, when you have like a really like deep crush on somebody, if you remember how that was like. I vaguely remember. I have a vague recollection. Of having like a deep crush on somebody, and like when they're talking, sometimes you're just like, wow, yeah, but you're not really listening.
Yourself like in a field, like dancing, and they're trying to talk to you.
Yeah, you're talking to me, but I'm like planning our life together. I'm planning our retirement.
All that we'll have together.
Yeah, I just feel like that's probably why she wasn't hearing him. Because she's always in her own little fantasy world.
She does care about what he's saying, so it's not that she doesn't care. She's in
her own little fantasy world all the time. Yeah. And so she actually says to him, you love this, and we've been through so much together. Can't you see helping me take care of this little boy for the rest of our lives? And Ethan says, I admit it, helping you with the baby was one of the best times of my life. I hope he's being hyperbolic, because what a sad life. These last 3 hours with this baby have been the best time of your life.
Before?
It's still the best times of your life. And if I was Gwen, I would feel some type of way about that. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say. But he goes on to say, but you're misunderstanding me, you know, because he says that and he gives her hope. And she's like, you're believing what you want to believe, and reality be damned. And then he lays in her, your lies ruin everything. We talked about this. You're not, with you, it's nothing but lies and deceit. You've just reverted back to your old ways. It was a lot. He laid it on very thick.
Yeah. He did. I did love the one part where he's like asking, it's like, you were pretending? What is this, a game? And she's like, can I finish? And Gwen walks over. She's like, you've been finished a long time ago. Oh, I love that.
Me, I rolled my eyes. I was like, girl, stop. I loved it. For me, it's like, you've already laid the seed, right? You've laid the groundwork that you needed to lay to play the game that you're playing. Just back off now, and let Ethan do what Ethan does, right? Because Ethan's mad enough. Yeah. And I think he actually got annoyed with Gwen at one point. And we will talk about that next. Because Theresa says, well, Gwen has poisoned you against me. That's all this is. And he's like, damn it, Theresa, stop blaming Gwen, which is a contender for the episode title. Because the delivery was great. And yeah. Damn it, Theresa, stop blaming Gwen. This is your fault. And
I have that clip.
No. Do you? How many clips did you take?
I only have 4.
Okay, play it then.
Okay.
I want to hear.
Why can't you just come to me? Why couldn't you come to me and tell me that you wanted to spend time with me? Why do you have to concoct this elaborate scheme?
I was afraid that you would say no.
Yeah, she was afraid that he would say no. And then he's like, well, have I ever failed you before? I don't know. You did let me down.
Yes. Yeah, Ethan, you have. And he's like, why didn't you just tell me? It's like, because it's so dramatic. Everything's so dramatic with you. Like, I didn't want to tell you. And I might react a little bit.
Have I ever failed you? Then why? And she's like, no. And he says, why couldn't you trust me? Why couldn't you trust that I would be there for you? And he says, why do you have to again manipulate me? Let yourself be manipulated, buddy.
She's like a teenager, just like, leave her alone. She's like a teenager.
She's like 19. You're a practicing attorney, and you really are saying she's manipulating you with this baby. No, you love the baby. You like hanging out with the baby, and that's cool. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's his brother, right? They think
it's his brother.
That's cute.
The baby would kind of
It's also
sort
his
of.
godson. He did agree to be the baby's godfather.
Oh,
so it's also his godson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then Ethan gives this speech, and it wasn't bad. Again, it was a lot. I just think it's like dramatic. The sentiments, though, I agree with. I just think this particular scenario with the baby was excessive. It was so ridiculous.
But there's a reason.
Yeah. There's
a reason why it happened. Remember, it's tied to Tabitha's story. She ramped up everyone's emotions. So that's why all of these conversations are so heightened.
I forgot about that. She blew.
Remember the thing. The wind came through and everything. So that's why everyone's emotions are so heightened.
Thank you so much, because I forgot about that. And it is in my notes somewhere, like that the wind blows.
In the Tabitha portion. Because the soap jumps around.
Yeah, that the wind blows. Well, it's in here somewhere that the wind blows in, and then but I don't always read every single note because there's a lot of them. Anyway, thank you. Yes, Tabitha did ramp up emotions. And so there's a lot of there's actually multiple people overreacting in this town right now.
Yeah. I mean, the essence of what he was upset about is valid, but he took it like to a 20.
So you know what? I'm gonna dial back my rage against Ethan for a moment, because you are absolutely right. He was influenced by Tabitha's magic at this point, and I had forgotten about that. So she says to him, I love you. I've always loved you. And he says that's not enough. And then Theresa says, but I have always loved you, and I've been honest about that. And that's the most important thing. And he says, no, it is not. That's not the most important thing, Theresa. You have never trusted my love for you, and that is the most important thing. This plotting and scheming to be with me, to spend time with me, that is not what love is about. It's about trust. And every time I get close to you, you ruin it. You ruin everything.
You ruin everything. So mean.
That was so mean. You ruin everything. And then he goes on to say, Chad and I were having a conversation about my connection to you. But even after all the secrets and lies, I was thinking about forgiving you, and we were talking about forgiveness.
Say that. I was just about to get back with you, but I guess not now.
But not now, not anymore. But he says, I can't do it. I can't forgive you anymore, Theresa. This could have been a great day. This could have been a wonderful memory. You coming back from the dead and all the time that we've spent together with little Ethan. And instead, you've made it into a terrible memory of lies, deceit, and manipulation. Yep. It was a lot. It was a lot.
But he wasn't wrong. I agree with him.
I know you do.
She literally was telling Whitney she would roll over Gwen's dead body. Yeah. So she plotted all of that. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think what she was doing was that bad. We don't have a disagreement on if she knew that she actually did know about babies, and that, that this was basically a lie. I just don't think it was that bad of a lie. I mean, I think there was a time when Ethan would have found it extremely flattering, right? Like where he would have been like, oh, she just wants to spend time with me. She's creating time for us to be together, creating a way for us to spend time together, right? Which is
like she did in the beginning of the show.
Yes, Anne?
She would create these scenarios to be around him.
Like I have said many, many times, Theresa made herself very available. Ethan picked her up. I have said that so many times. She made herself extremely available. And he came along and swooped her up. He said, I like what I see.
But it's again through lying. She was not being honest.
She was showing up in places where he was.
But she was manipulating sometimes those interactions.
I feel like that's her like being a go-getter.
Yeah, me too. I agree. I think that's taking the initiative.
Right.
She's like, oh, Ethan's up in the mountains.
We need to bring up Chuck again.
I'll go to the mountains and I'll drive in the snow and take him these files if he needs them. Yeah, I'll go up there. And luckily for me, we'll be up there together alone. Works out Win-win. It's a win-win. He wins, I win, he gets his papers, I get to spend time with him, right? I think that's just, I think the reason I take issue with it being called manipulation is because to me, manipulation is more malicious than especially what Theresa was doing at the beginning of the show, right? Like, that's just girls, or anybody, not just girls, but that's just a young girl who has a crush and finds ways to spend time with her crush, right? I don't think that's necessarily manipulation of what happened at the beginning. I'm not talking about the some of the more recent stuff or the things that go where we go forward. But in that, I will always defend Theresa episodes 100 through 500, right? Like, I will always defend her down.
Because she knew that he was not available. He was with someone.
I can't deny that that's true. And
I can't deny that's true either. I cannot. But she made herself available and he picked her up.
Do we need to talk about Chuck again? She lied.
Oh my God, Chuck and the paperclip air. I love the paperclip air. I wish he would come back.
I know.
But anyway, he continues to yell at her. He just keeps going on and on about honesty and blah, blah, blah. It gets pretty repetitive at a certain point where I've kind of tuned out.
I was eating it all up. I loved it all.
Yeah, but he just talks about how she doesn't trust his love for her and yada, yada, yada. Though I will also say that I feel like Gwen doesn't particularly trust Ethan's love for her either, which I don't fault her for it. I don't fault her for it because he has cheated on her. What are you saying, Jessica?
Yeah, both women shouldn't trust Ethan. Like, he's being sketchy all the time with them, and I don't know, it's just like they have reasons not to trust him.
Yeah, he's not trustworthy, actually. But yeah, so if he has an issue with that with Theresa, I mean, Gwen doesn't particularly trust his love for her either. So
no, yeah,
I agree.
Because he keeps going back and forth. Like, one minute he's telling Louise he's back with Gwen, and the next minute it's like, well, maybe we can get back together.
Yeah, it's and it's totally
And I think that's how I also feel about Theresa. Is like, he shows her, he says one thing, but he does another, right? Yeah. He'll say, like, I can't be with you, but then he'll spend all night with her, right?
Like, stare at her for an hour at a party in a weird, suggestive way, and then she'll try to follow up on it, and he'll be like, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
This is all in your mind, Theresa. It's all in your mind. You're making up things. This isn't reality. But anyway, eventually, after berating her for a while, he says to her, basically, thanks for dying for me, but I'm going to bed now.
Yeah. It's so funny. He's like, and there was a thing about that, but like, outside of that, I'm over it. And it's like, you can't cross over that. That's so big that she did that.
Yeah. And so he says, thanks for dying for me. But
he
that wouldn't. But then he's like,
that didn't have to happen if you would have just came to me.
Yeah, he rubs salt in the wound, and he says, "Thanks for dying for me, but also you didn't have to do that because you could have just told me the truth."
Yeah.
And so he's like, "We're going to bed. Come on, Gwen." And so then they go to the adjoining room where they're sleeping.
Such a creepy situation, like living situation. Like, what? They were right there. Was Theresa's room adjoined to theirs?
Yes, because many episodes ago, Theresa was gonna like put everybody out of the house, which she should have just done that. But instead, she decided to like sleep in the room next to Ethan's room because at first she was gonna take Ivy's room from her, but then she realized, oh, there's a room that adjoins Ethan's. I'll just stay in that room because I can be closer to Ethan. But she was not anticipating Gwen staying there with them. And as I have already said, if it were me, because at one point in this whole thing, Gwen like inserts herself again, and Theresa's like, stay out of it, Gwen, you've said enough. And Gwen's like, I absolutely will not stay out of it. If I'm Theresa at this point, everybody got to go. Like, at this point, when Ethan's like, come on, Gwen, let's go to bed. Oh, y'all better go to bed somewhere else. It ain't in this house. I can tell you that right now. Pack your shit. This is not your house.
She would never do that.
I know she wouldn't. I know she wouldn't. I'm just saying I would if it were me. And you know what I mean? And I'm in love with you. And you told me that you have just told me that you love me, but you also just berated me about like this lie. No, no, you just berated me about like wanting to spend time with you, and doing it in a not so honest way. Yeah, bye. Please go somewhere else. And you're definitely not going to go next door and have sex with another woman. No, go somewhere else. I think that's what really upset me, because they go to the next room and Theresa is very upset. She's like banging on their door.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah.
She's banging on the door. She's crying. Ethan, no, you have to understand. Like, you have to listen to me. And then Gwen just like turns on some music.
Yeah.
Like turns the radio up. Ethan feels bad. He goes to the other side and they're listening to her sad. And then Ethan's like, man, I do feel bad. Like, and Gwen's like, no, she brought it on herself. And then she goes and gets herself sexy for bed after turning on the radio. And then she comes back and they start having sex. And she very obviously is like moaning loudly. Oh, Ethan. It was like a herbal essence commercial. You remember those?
First.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I
I
loved it, obviously.
I know you did. I was disgusted.
I did want to make a funny because of what he said. He's like, should I call Phyllis and get us a snack? And I'm like, if I was gonna, I'd be like, no, I don't trust Phyllis. Phyllis knows what I just tried to do to Theresa. Like, I'm gonna trust her to bring me anything? No, keep Phyllis away from me.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm the snack.
Also, Phyllis does not work for y'all at all.
Also, good point.
Yeah, you are squatters. Y'all are squatters. Get out.
They are. Well, Gwen might be squatting. Well, no, Gwen is there because of Rebecca. Julian
She's a
hasn't
squatter
kicked
too.
out
They're all
Rebecca.
squatters. The only reason Rebecca might be able to stay because Julian likes her, but like, we could get Ivy, Ethan, Gwen, all up out of here. All of them. The only one who could, Julian would not have an issue whatsoever if Theresa was like, yeah, I don't want them here.
Yeah.
He just wouldn't care.
He would not care. He wouldn't care. Except for maybe Rebecca, because she has sex, which she's the only one putting out.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, I mean, they're back together again at this point, aren't they?
I guess.
I feel like he doesn't think that way.
What did you say, Jessica?
He doesn't seem to think of it that way, because he said he was like, I have 3 women in this house that think they're my wife, and it didn't necessarily like seem like he thought she was correct though. He thought all of them were incorrect when they said that. Yeah, he definitely doesn't think of Rebecca as his wife, but he definitely is still having intimate relations with her.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Or as this show says,
making love.
What they do is definitely not making love. Now that's a hill I'm willing to die on.
Don't kink shame.
No, I'm not kink shaming. I'm just saying that's not making love. That's something else entirely. Making flicks,
or as Theresa said,
movies,
they're having sex.
We're talking about Jane, right?
Julian, yeah.
That's like unholy. That kind of sex. Unholy.
Okay, so Whitney and Theresa are in Theresa's room. Whitney tries to calm Theresa down. Theresa is like, no, I need to talk to him tonight. She's going to be undeterred. She's going to do what she wants to do. So she sends Whitney and Chad home, and that's when she hears Ethan and Gwen having sex. So let's talk about Whitney and Chad. That's really all for Ethan and Gwen and Theresa for the week. You have anything to add to them?
No.
Nope. No. All right. So then let's go on to Chad and Whitney. Chad and Whitney at one point. So when Ethan was having his conversation with Chad, Chad said to Ethan at one point, I'm worried that Whitney might try to break up with me again because she did it once before because of her sister. And I already told you about the part where Whitney said she was going to have to break up with Chad, but Theresa told her not that was stupid. And so they go out in the hallway. They're having this conversation. And Whitney tells Chad that she needs to talk to him about something, and he cuts her off. He's like, I'm not going to let you break up with me again over Simone. And Whitney says, actually, that's not what I was going to do. I wanted to tell you I've really come to a decision, and we have to tell my sister as soon as possible, because I refuse to give you up. I can't give you up. Chad is relieved. It's a lovely little moment, but it's too late, people. It is too little too late, because when they go back to Whitney's house, they decide they're gonna tell not only Simone but also TC. They're like, we also need to tell your dad about us, because I would hate for him to find out from somebody else and come trying to murder me for the 30th time, right? And so they're about to go in, but TC meets them at the door. He's like, and he's mad. He's like, he angrily yells for Simone. He's like, Simone, come down here. We're going to get this straightened out right now. And truthfully, I was confused. I was like, what is this about? What could this be about? I thought this was going to be like a red herring. I thought it was going to be like you left wet towels on the floor or some bullshit. Yeah. But it's no.
Redirection.
I thought they were going to redirect us, but no, we really got into like the shit, not like the shit, but some shit. Yeah. Because it turns out that Simone has told TC that she and Chad are in a relationship. And TC is upset about this.
Of course.
His sugar bear, he does not know her name. I believe he does not know her name. He just calls her sugar bear so many times in these episodes.
Yes.
He's upset. He's like, Simone's too young, I was confused by that at first, because he's like, you're too young. I was like, how old is Simone? Is she 14? I thought she was 18.
She said she was 17 and about to be 18 very soon.
In a few days at this point is what they say. So it was so weird to me that they were even still using that line. So right?
At one point, Eve says that Simone is not even at the age where she's thinking about boys.
Yes.
She's 18. It's like, so you mean the exact age where girls are obsessed with them? And it's just so stupid and weird.
Yeah, girls start thinking about boys very early on.
Like, I was into it when I was in middle school. I started being totally obsessed. So
no, I mean, like in elementary school, you have your little crushes, right?
Yeah.
So, but like to be like serious, like I'm gonna have a real boyfriend. Yeah, it's middle school. Yeah,
18 is exactly the right age. It makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like most people go on their first date at like 13, 14, like to at least like a group date or something, to the mall or whatever. Yeah. Maybe you didn't tell your parents it was a date, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah. So, TC believes that Simone and Chad are in a relationship.
Yeah.
Simone says, Chad, I can't lie and sneak around behind my parents' back. Nobody asked you to.
But she's been kind of doing that this whole time.
And nobody asked her to do that.
Yeah.
Not a single person asked her to do that. Yeah. And she said it so weird and like accusatorily, like he asked her to do that. And I think that annoyed me.
Yeah. I wonder if Simone did this because she suspects Whitney and Chad being together, and this is her way of kind of trying to thwart that.
It's a solid theory.
And to confirm to herself maybe that she's with Chad, like getting him to say it. Like we've always said, you have to say the words.
Yeah. That is a solid theory. It also crossed my mind that this was not, that she didn't just randomly do this, that she did this because she has been having doubts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. The show doesn't tell us that, but I gleaned that a little bit, but I could be projecting onto it, but that's what I felt.
Because this will give her permission, if Chad continues to lie, for her to then openly talk about him being my boyfriend to everyone.
Yeah. So, Whitney, TC's like upset. He's like, you're too young, blah, blah, blah. Whitney tells her, hey, why don't you take dad into the living room and try to talk to him and try to calm him down. And so they walk to the living room and she's explaining, making her case, advocating for her relationship, right? She's like, I'm not a little girl anymore. Chad loves me. You like him. He's a good guy. And they walk off. Whitney then turns to Chad and says, we're off the hook. she's actually happy about this. She says, no, you don't understand. My dad's never going to agree to let Simone date you. So we don't have to tell her anything because he's not going to let her
put a kibosh on it,
on the whole thing. And then TC and Simone come back. Simone comes running back squealing and saying, Daddy's gonna let me date Chad. He said it's okay. And Whitney screams, no.
For sure, Whitney.
And of course, TC's like, what's the problem? And Whitney says to him, well, Daddy, you've always been so adamant about us not dating until we're 18 and mature. And frankly, Daddy, I'm a little surprised at you. I mean, what made you change your mind? And it was the frankly, Daddy really cracked me up.
Yeah, it was her turning the tables.
Yeah. And TC says, well, Simone will be 18 in a few days. And she's right. She's not a baby anymore. And most of her friends are dating. And it was a reasonable response from TC, a rare, reasonable response from TC. He's correct. She's not a baby anymore. Her friends are already dating. Why can't she? Right.
And she is turning 18 in a couple days.
In a few days. Apparently, it's almost Simone's birthday. She's got
I wonder if she's going to get a party.
No, please. He said her birthday's in a few days because he doesn't know exactly when. He just knows it's coming up.
Doesn't even know her name.
No one's daughter's birthday.
He was like, it was sometime in August.
Cake will say happy birthday, Sugar Bear.
One of the colder months.
He was like, her birthday was sometime in August. That's all I remember. So she'll be 18 soon. And I think my dad, quick short story time. My dad literally never knows how old I am. Every year on my birthday, he's like, how old are you?
Oh my God.
Every year, when I turned like, I think it was 33, he was like, yeah, I can't believe you're 30. I was like, I'm not 30. I haven't been 30 for years. I was like, I'm 33. He was like, are you? He was like, really? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh my God. It was like he realized that he had a 33-year-old daughter.
Yeah, because it ages you when you start to think about it. Like, wait a minute, that means I'm old.
Yeah. Now I'm 36.
Like,
what'd you say?
Really are freaked out that I'm the age I am. I'm 36, and like that's the age around when they had me. And like, I think it's just starting to weird them. You think you can see that I'm aging, and they're like, huh, that's our little daughter. She's getting older. I don't know. It just must be weird.
It must be weird, Aisha. I'll never know.
I'll never know. Thankfully, me neither.
It is weird. My son turned 19 last week. And the other one is going to be 26. So I feel it.
Yeah.
Like, I have grown adults in my house.
Right.
Yeah. The closest I can get is my niece, Naya. And it is weird that she's like 21 and she used to be a baby. Yeah. and I was young when she was a baby, and now I'm old and she's old.
She's an old baby.
Yeah. So it is weird, but I think it would be even weirder if it was like my kid. Because I feel like you remember that. I feel like you must remember having a baby like it was yesterday, right? Like I feel like that's one of those memories.
The worst is like the Facebook memories, because then I'll see videos of my kids like 10, 15 years ago, and I was like, oh my God, it feels like it was yesterday they were that little.
Yeah, you used to be
and now
little.
they're like grown. They're hanging out all the time.
Yeah. So that just a fun little aside. Back to passions.
Yeah, back to passions. Back to Sugar Bear.
So back to Sugar Bear, this poor child that don't nobody know her name. So, yeah, he says she's not a baby anymore. And then Whitney says, well, Daddy, you know what? I need to tell you something right now. This can't go on any longer. But TC interrupts her and says, well, baby, don't tell me that you're trying to start dating now, too. You don't have the time to start dating. You can't have a boyfriend because of your tennis schedule. He says, we have to stay focused. We have spent too much time and effort on your tennis. You're not going to break your dad's heart, are you?
You believe he said that? Because he never stopped saying, I killed my dad. Like he died of a broken heart because I did something. And he's now being like, you're not going to kill me, are you, honey? Like, it's like, what are you saying?
I agree.
So inappropriate.
I agree 100% because yes, Whitney would understand what that means when he says that.
Yeah,
right?
it implies certain things. Like,
Yeah, it's not just a figure of speech coming from TC saying
Right.
like you're not gonna break my heart. No, it's like you're gonna kill me if you
to
quit
him,
tennis.
breaking my heart means you could kill me. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
But
that
it's
I
so
was
sad because she's obviously older than Simone. Simone is 18, so that would put Whitney
Yeah.
somewhere in her like mid-20s, and he's telling a 20-year-old that she can't have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And if you're that age and your parents still doing that, it really means you have to break free. Like it's like it makes it
You're
more
gonna have to move out.
than
Yeah.
when you're younger.
I think she and Theresa are both 19 or 20. That's like where I'm putting them because if
It makes
Kay is correct and it's been 2 years since the beginning of the show and they were in high school at the beginning of the show, then it would stand to reason that they are just now turning 20.
Yeah, and leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. She's too old to have her dad telling her like you can't have a boyfriend because of your tennis schedule.
Yeah. Which
and-
we never see her doing.
And look, Serena Williams won the Australia Open pregnant. Remember that? So I think boys don't necessarily get in the way of you getting, achieving your dreams.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Whitney should get pregnant. I'm just saying, it's not.
She can juggle both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
She can
do
do
it.
both.
She can have a boyfriend.
She was doing tennis and going to school, so now she doesn't have school.
Right.
Yeah,
So Eve walks in and she misunderstands what's going on in the kitchen and she's happy about what she thought she saw, right? She's smiling. She's like, oh my goodness, Whitney and Chad are going to start going out.
yeah.
But Simone very quickly corrects her. It's like, no, mother. There's a lot of people saying mother this week.
Oh.
No, mother. Chad and I are going out and Eve is very confused, deeply confused. And she says, you and Chad, but I thought that Whitney and Chad were seeing each other. Isn't that what you asked me a while back? Looking at Chad. And that's where we ended this week. I'm so interested to see how this works out. Simone's gonna find a way to like
A way to break it open.
twist it up.
Of course, misunderstand the whole thing. But like, refresh my memory, when they kind of got permission to sort of see each other, was TC there?
TC was there, yes.
Okay, so why are we pretending like that conversation didn't happen? You guys both gave her blessing to be with Chad. That's why she fucked them.
Yeah, they literally left them outside of the music studio.
Hospital.
I
thought it was
the
at the
studio.
hospital.
It was the
Okay.
studio. And yeah, I remember that conversation. You remember it. We all remember it. The Passions writers apparently don't. Yeah. That's where we ended with them. I don't know. It's frustrating because everybody, TC and Eve both knew that Chad and Whitney were like kind of together. So, and like every time TC has like seen Chad, like when he was like trying to kill him, every time he saw him, it was always because of Whitney, right? Like it was never Simone. It was never.
A better storyline would have been if Simone did go to him and tell him, oh, they want to be together. And Chad then has to explain himself as to, are you leading both of my daughters on? What is going on?
Yeah, I knew you were a bad guy. Although I would hate that too, but it would be something
more realistic than just having us forget that they actually already gave Whitney and Chad their blessing.
Yeah, this is just silly. At this point, it's just silly. So, that's all I have for them. Y'all have anything to add before we move on?
No.
All right, we're going on to Sheridan and Luis, which I guess I'll use the bloom bloom button.
There were some sweet moments.
There
and then
were
some infuriating moments.
There were some infuriating moments, but I loved watching Sheridan and Luis like work through a conflict.
I love this couple so much, and working through conflicts together well is like, it's hot and it's great to see them do it.
Conflict resolution, the sexiest thing on earth, baby.
Yep. There is a point when they're like arguing and she just goes in and kisses him, and I'm like, that is so hot.
Yeah, the whole thing. It was necessary, and I hate where this storyline goes.
Yeah.
I really hate it. So, all right, let's talk about it, I guess. We're gonna pick up with Antonio and Beth, because Beth has found Antonio at the hospital by accident. She just like happened upon him. And Antonio has told her, yeah, me and Sheridan Crane, you're never going to believe it, but I'm engaged to Sheridan Crane and we're going to have a double wedding with you and Louise. How do you feel about that, Beth?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Beth has just been broken up with. So
Yeah.
she's a little confused,
Yeah.
but she,
Understandably.
yeah, but she also is a little encouraged by this news. And Edna comes in and is like, no, I'm gonna set you straight on just who's gonna marry who. But of course she doesn't manage to do that, because Eve comes in. Dr. Eve Russell walks in and is like, oh, Mrs. Wallace, I need to talk to you, and wheels her out of there and like makes haste with her far away from Antonio, and tells her that she stopped her because Antonio needs to be calm. Antonio needs to be calm. He needs to stay calm or it'll kill him. I hate this. I hate this plot. I hate it. It's so stupid. It's so messy. Y'all couldn't even come up with a disease.
Yeah.
It's so lazy. They didn't come up with an illness at all. It was just like, we don't know. No, we don't know what's wrong with him, but he has.
All we know that stress will kill him. That's all we know.
Stress, the silent killer. And so, she wheels her off. Meanwhile, Beth and Antonio continue their conversation, and he's like, you must be so grateful to have Louise back in your life, and you two deserve to be together. I'm so glad you found each other again and got back together. I was unclear on what Beth was thinking at first, but I think that's because Beth wasn't sure. And I think the actress, I cannot remember her name, but I think she did a very good job here, because I could see that she was kind of trying to figure out how to play it, right? And where she could how she could use this, right? And she this whole conversation is very confusing, but then she finally realizes, you know what? I can still get Louise back. That's what she goes and tells Edna. She's like, I had a conversation with Antonio. He thinks that we're having a double wedding. He doesn't know that Sheridan and Louise were ever together. So there's still hope for me. I can get Louise back. Edna's like, don't hold your breath, toots. Yeah. And meanwhile, Eve talks to a specialist in something. I think it was a neuro specialist.
Yeah, some brain surgeon. Or
yeah. And they look at Antonio's CAT scans, and he tells her that the slightest upset could kill Antonio. And then she calls his doctor in Bermuda, and he says the same thing. He says it's extremely important that Brian be kept calm. If he has any excitement or emotional upset, it'll kill him. Oh my God. Wait, where's my boo button?
It is so annoying.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I hate this. So
they're doctors. You can give him a sedative to calm him and then tell him.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, they should drug him to tell him, basically, Later on. Wait, what'd you say, Jessica?
It would just be so funny, him happily hearing the news. They're like, we're gonna be together now. I'm sorry, we're not gonna be with you. And he would just be so happy, and then like you could leave, and then wouldn't have to deal with it wearing off and him freaking out.
Yeah, drug him up.
Yeah,
drug him up.
Yeah.
So
where is Rebecca's pharmacy?
Yeah, well, Eve's got the real pharmacy, and she later on she does say she's gonna sedate him. So
I know, I thought,
which was hilarious. I like cracked up. I laughed out loud. We'll get there. So, meanwhile, Louise and Sheridan, they're having a conversation. Louise is telling Sheridan, "You have to choose. You have to choose between me and my brother." And Sheridan feels guilty. She starts crying. She's like, this is all my fault. And she worries for Antonio. She doesn't want to upset him. But she finally says, I can't drag this out any longer. And then she gives a speech that makes Louise feel like she's chosen Antonio, right? She's like, he pulled me out of the water. He saved my life, and I'll forever be grateful to him. And so Louise is like, oh, I get it. I know what this means. You're choosing my brother, right? And he's like, she says, no, She says, that's not what I'm saying at all. I love this. She says, when I was Diana, yes, I fell in love with Brian, but I still had dreams of you. I couldn't remember your name, but, and I didn't know where we were together, but I knew your face. I knew you were the man I loved. It was almost like you were part of my soul. Diana. Yeah, it was so sweet. She says, Diana fell in love with Brian,
yes,
but I'm Sheridan, which is also a contender for the episode title. I love that. Diana fell in, because it also highlights what we have been saying on the podcast, and I think that's why I liked it so much, that Diana and Sheridan are two different people. Right?
People, but even Diana was in love with her dead lover.
Yeah, that's true. Even Diana was in love with her dead lover. So, and she says, even though I still love Brian very much, I know in my heart, in my soul, no matter who I am, you are the man I love. You're always with me. I have always known who I loved more. You're the man I want, and to spend the rest of my life with you, the man that I want to be with forever. She wants to be with him forever. So I loved that whole speech. I thought it was beautiful. It was Bloom Bloom worthy, right? Like it was gorgeous. I really love that. So Luis is overjoyed at this, and they kiss, they embrace, much to Pilar's dissatisfaction, who's lurking in the background, and she side eyes this interaction. She does not care for it. And so Luis says he's gonna go and find Eve to find out if it's okay to break the news to Antonio. He's like, we have to tell him now. Mm-hmm. And so he walks off, and Beth and Edna have been listening in on, no, they didn't hear that portion of this conversation. They heard the next time. They're standing behind curtains and listening on to conversations a lot in these episodes. So Pilar and Sheridan are having a conversation once Luis leaves, where Sheridan basically is like, yeah, I've chosen Luis, and Pilar's like, I'm happy for you, but it's going to kill my other son. Like, I just hate that it's going to hurt my sons. And then she says, I'm just worried that my sons might kill each other over this.
This thing again. I
hate this.
It's so weird and dumb.
Yeah. This again, this old chestnut.
Oh my God.
They're going to kill
the men are
each other.
always this close to murder.
They may murder someone. It's like better men.
You know what? Raise better children.
Right. Seriously.
That part. So then Sheridan says to her, I feel so guilty. If I had been more like Luis, none of this would have happened. Pilar says, come again? Explain, expound, please. And Sheridan says, well, Luis stayed faithful to me and my memory. He didn't run off and find another love. And that's what Beth hears, and it gets her wheels turning, right? So she's like, I still got a chance. And Pilar is like, oh, okay. I'll talk to you later, Sheridan. Let me go find Luis. And so she goes and runs and finds Luis and tells him, hey, Sheridan doesn't know anything about you and Beth. Why? And he's like, oh shit. Yeah, I got to tell her before somebody else does. Like, I just forgot. It slipped my mind. Oh my God.
In his defense, though, she was with Brian, I think, longer than he was with Beth, right?
No, they got together at the exact same time.
What? Oh, okay.
They
slept together? Engaged?
They slept together around the exact same time, too. They were doing things in parallels, if y'all remember. Everything Sheridan was doing on the island, Luis was like having the same conversations with Beth.
Okay.
Like for weeks and weeks and weeks, they were like on a parallel trajectory. So they got together.
But at that point, but before that, I think it's because we didn't see like Beth trying to get with Luis that strongly as Brian was trying to get with Sheridan.
Right. Because it was well, Beth is a better person than Antonio.
Also true. True.
Which is a crazy thing to say considering what we know about Beth. But
she's not that person yet, though.
No, but you know what? She does love Luis, right? And she was sad that he was hurt, I think, about Sheridan's death. But she also saw an opportunity there. She just knows that I think she just knew it was inappropriate to like throw her pussy at him the day after Sheridan's dead. You know what I mean? Like, I think she knew that wasn't gonna get her anywhere. So she was just being patient. She was working him the way that she knew he needed to be worked.
Yeah.
Right? Versus Antonio, who he was just extremely pushy. No, she had Hank being pushy for her. She didn't have to do it because Hank was doing the pushing, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they did get together at pretty much the exact same time. Yes, Beth overhears this conversation between Sheridan and Pilar. She thinks that she still has a chance. Sorry. The relationship with Luis. Meanwhile, Beth catches Sheridan. There it is. So Pilar goes to tell Luis Sheridan knows nothing about Beth and you need to fix that.
Yeah.
Beth finds Sheridan as fast as she can, right?
Yeah.
She makes a beeline to Sheridan, which I don't fault Beth for this one fucking second. I don't fault her for this at all.
Agreed.
Fuck yeah. So yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, bitch, you're gonna hear from me.
Yeah.
Not bitch. It's not Sheridan's fault, but you're
No,
gonna hear
it's
from
not.
you're gonna
After
find
the
out.
way Luis dumped her, yeah, I would
Not
do it.
Luis. Like, yeah, it's not about Sheridan, but
Yeah, it's not about Sheridan. It's about Luis. And this,
Yeah.
I agree. No, because he hasn't told her. And Beth heard that, and I would have been so upset. Like, why haven't you told her?
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, let me go tell her. So she finds Sheridan and she hugs. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Sheridan, I heard you were alive. Luis told me when he came over to break off our engagement."
she said it and she went flat. She was like, to do this. Like, she was
Yeah.
pleasant and then just wasn't.
Yeah, it was very like, yeah, girl, Luis told me when he broke off our engagement.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And Sheridan is shocked at this news. She says, "You and Luis were engaged?" And she says, "Yeah, I mean, we were together. We fell in love." I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And Beth apologizes to her saying, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I assumed that he had told you." And then she very happily excuses herself to watch the bomb explode from a distance. And so Luis sees the two of them talking, realizes exactly what has happened, comes into the situation, and then leaves. I mean, Beth leaves. That's when she leaves. She's like, apologizes, like, "I thought you had told her." So there can be no fault in Beth on this. And even if she was open about being like, "Yeah, I wanted to tell you. Somebody needed to tell you." Like, even if she was being open about it and saying that she was being messy, I still would be on her side on it. I would. I really would. Yeah. Because I was annoyed that Luis did not tell Sheridan immediately. And it was sick. It was sick that he literally had forgotten about Beth, which he says
Did Beth wrong. Like, this is cruel the way he is being with her, and especially with how the type of person that Beth is, that kind of casting her aside without a second thought, it didn't mean shit to me. It must really kill her.
It would be so painful, which is one of the reasons why Beth is also a character who I
are sympathetic towards.
No, actually the opposite. It's like, girl, this man does not want you.
Yeah,
You're gonna do all of this for a man who does not,
I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for that either. Who
literally forgot about you.
Yeah.
He doesn't give you a second thought. You're gonna really no. So yes, she excuses herself. Then Luis starts apologizing to Sheridan profusely. Please remember that he is apologizing to her over and over again. He's saying, I'm sorry. I should have told you. Yeah. Sheridan is pissed, rightfully so. Yeah. I would be pissed too. He had plenty of time to tell her and he didn't. And she says, "You put me through hell because of my relationship with Antonio, a relationship that only started because I had amnesia. I thought you were dead." And she says, "But you went and did the same thing. You started a relationship." And this whole new revelation, at first it seemed like it was putting a doubt in Sheridan's mind, because at one point she was like, "I just want this to be over," but that's not what she meant. She meant she wanted the conflict of all of this, the whole situation to be over. And yeah, she's like, no, I don't want our relationship to end, but we're gonna have it out. Like, I'm gonna say my piece, and we're gonna have this thing out. She's very, very angry with Louise, and she says that he was in such a rage over her relationship with Antonio when all this time he was engaged to Beth, and Louise responds with, I know, but I hadn't even thought of Beth. I'd forgotten about her completely. Are you?
Yeah, that was then he really meant that. Like it was horrible.
No, he meant it in the way he said it. Was like, yeah, I know, but I hadn't even thought about Beth. I had completely forgotten about her.
Yeah, and I literally had forgotten about her. And
just remember, Edna and Beth are listening to him say this, right? From behind a curtain. He doesn't see her, so he's not saying it to her face. Yeah. But it's still brutal nonetheless. It was really, really awful. Yeah. So they're listening to this argument from behind the curtain, and Edna's like, I told you he never loved you. Never. I hate her.
I hate Edna. Wait, so you're a Frasier fan. Do you recognize her?
Who was she in Frasier?
Aunt Patrice. The one that
my God, yes!
Yeah, like
oh my gosh.
Weird fake made up language, like
yeah.
I saw this woman's face when I was watching for today, and I was like, I know that face, and then I realized it was her.
Yeah. Oh my God, thank you. What who was that
it was Niles's wife's.
Yeah, Maris's cousin.
I was supposed to take her out and show her a good time.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Yeah, no, I didn't realize that she had played that lady on Frasier. That's so funny.
Makes it easier for me not to hate this woman so much because she's
she. You know what? We hate the character, not the actress. This character, Edna Wallace, is horrible. Yeah, she's like, I told you he never loved you, never. And then Beth walks off because she's hurt and upset and whatever. So meanwhile, Sheridan continues to lay into Louise for his hypocrisy because he was being an absolute hypocrite. Yeah. And she says that their situations are exactly the same, but Louise takes issue with this. He says, no, our situations aren't exactly the same because I went and broke things off with Beth immediately. So he does make a point.
He does make a point.
He makes a point. I'm not letting him off the hook because he should have said something to Sheridan when he got that IM that reminded him that Beth existed in the first place. He should have said
been telling her where he was going.
Yeah, and he kept that from her. He held it back from her because he knew it would upset her. And so I'm not letting him off the hook just because you went and broke. And actually, for a minute, I thought that Sheridan was like going to stand up for Beth when he said that he had forgotten all about Beth, completely forgotten about her, because she got upset after he said that. Yeah, but she didn't stand up for Beth. But that would have been cool if she would have been like, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah,
it was.
So yeah, he says our situations aren't the same. I went and broke things off with Beth immediately, and which is something that Sheridan has failed to do, right? Like, it is a point. It's not a great point. It's not a good point, but it is a point, right? That she hasn't told Antonio about them, and she
has wanted to, but everyone keeps telling her you can't.
That's exactly what she said. She says, well, I have wanted to tell him, but Dr. Russell has warned us not to upset him. And so they argue because Sheridan says, you owe me an apology. And instead of just saying sorry again, Louise pushes back saying like, no, our situations aren't the same thing. But he already apologized profusely. Like, he started out apologizing. So first of all, when she said you owe me an apology, I was like, but he's been apologizing to you. You're just not accepting the apology.
And he's been doing Beth, so she's not even an issue anymore.
Yeah, I think the issue is that he was lying to her, right? Like that she feels that he was being dishonest and that he was really kind of reaming her for
that's what it was.
Yeah, being with Antonio when all the time he was engaged to Beth.
So mean about it to her, and she wanted him to apologize for that specifically, like being like, apologize for being a dick to me and like going at me for that because it's not fair because you did the same thing. Yeah, and then he did, but I wish he had done it before the kiss. Like,
Mhm.
like I wish he had said sorry and then they kissed, but he just kind of was like, didn't say sorry and was like, oh.
No,
But then he
that
did
actually
apologize.
annoyed me. Like I didn't
I like
dislike the kiss necessarily, but I hate in anything when a woman or anybody is like upset and talking and like is upset and the other person just like decides to basically kiss them to make them stop talking. Gets on my fucking nerves. I don't like that. I don't find it romantic. I don't find it sexy. Because if somebody did that to me, I would be really
like,
upset.
but no, wait, but answer the question. And it would make me even more suspicious than I was before.
Yeah.
So.
Like what the fuck was that? I'm mad as hell. You thought getting into my personal space and like putting your nasty mouth on me was gonna make me feel better without my consent? No. But I get that other people love it. Fine, whatever. When I saw it, I was like, oh, really, Louise? But I did appreciate that after they kissed, that he pulled out and he did apologize to her. He said, I am sorry. You're right. You are right. And I did appreciate that. And I agree with you, Jessica. I wish he would have just done it before he kissed her.
Then the kiss hot, but because he didn't do it, it made the kiss was manipulative, and it's like,
That's how I feel too. That's exactly how I feel too. Mm-hmm. So then he explains that he only got with Beth because he thought that's what Sheridan would want, and he would, for him to move on because she was dead. And he says, I fought it. I don't know why I said that like that. I fought it. He says I fought it like nobody's business, and he says the only person I wanted to be with was you. I even sent a message to heaven. I was trying to see what you'd want me to do, and it seemed like you were telling me that it was okay. And since you weren't there, I should move on with my life. And Sheridan says to him, I did the exact same thing. The exact same thing happened to me. I did, and then I got romantically involved with Antonio, and he's like, yeah, because we're connected, and that they come to a beautiful resolution. They come to a gorgeous resolution, and they kiss, they make up, they hug. It's beautiful. I really enjoyed this. Yes, I took a small issue with the kiss, the placement of the kiss, but overall, I give the execution of this conflict resolution a 9.8 out of 10. Like, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
They're so bad. Like, I just think they would make the cutest couple, and I want that.
Yeah, I do too. I want them together. And so what's next? What comes up elsewhere? Oh, let's talk real quick about Eve. Dr. Eve Russell with no prognosis for these people, no diagnosis, no nothing, just he needs to stay calm or he might die. She tells Pilar that she's very worried about Antonio finding out the truth about Luis and Sheridan, because his condition is so fragile and an emotional jolt could be fatal to him. She says this to his mother, and people are saying stuff. She's like sharing his medical information with everybody but him. Again, weird. This lady should not have a license. She should not have her medical license. And then Pilar says, I'm afraid that this whole thing is going to tear my family apart, and it's going to tear Antonio apart if he finds out the truth. And that's when Antonio walks in, and he's like, if I find out the truth about what, mama? And of course they tell him nothing. It's like, oh, just nothing. I don't even know what excuse they made. It wasn't a good one, and he didn't buy it.
I have to stay overnight at the hospital. They're like, unfortunately, might have to keep you here another night, and we were scared to tell you. It's like, sorry.
Yeah, it was stupid, but he didn't really buy it.
I want to go back to the cottage because I want to boink Sheridan.
He can't take all that excitement. Well,
apparently he thinks he can at least do that.
He can't take the excitement. His heart can't, or his brain can't handle it.
His brain can't handle it.
So stupid. This is so stupid. And so he walks off determined to find out what everybody's keeping from him. He's like, everybody's keeping something from me. It's interesting because there actually was a lot of Antonio in these episodes, but we have not talked about him because I left him out of my notes.
So boring, and he's not even there.
Yeah, it's not like he's really talking to anybody. He's not, but there was a lot of him trying to figure out what everybody is talking
There was
about.
this one like he was in bed and he was like, everyone keeps acting like I'm paranoid or something, but I'm not. And then he like turned and looked crazy and he was like, I think people are keeping something from me. Like, so it's like they're saying you're paranoid, you are, and then he just was paranoid.
Yeah. Yeah. So he wanders about trying to figure out what everybody's keeping from him. And Eve
He runs into Mrs. Wallace too.
Yes, he does run into Mrs. Wallace, and she's like, this is my chance. I'm going to direct him to where Sheridan and Louise are happily together. That way he'll find out what's going on. I want to note that I don't think that Edna knows that it'll kill him.
No, I don't think she knows that either.
I just want to note that I don't think Edna knows how serious his condition is, because I don't think anybody really knows except for Pilar and Eve at this point.
She wouldn't care if she did know, though.
No, she wouldn't care. No, she wouldn't care. She's despicable.
Her agenda is to make sure that Beth is miserable.
With her, yeah.
With her.
Yeah. So Eve tells Pilar, after Antonio's gone, right, that we need to do everything that we can to make sure he doesn't hear the truth until he's strong enough to bear it. So Eve's laid that out bare to everybody, or to Pilar now, right? Like, we're lying to Antonio as a community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nobody can tell him until he's, quote, strong enough to bear it, whatever that means.
A year from now, maybe.
Yeah, so he's wandering around the hospital, and Edna directs him to where Sheridan and Louise are, and he finds them hugging, and he's like, what the hell's going on here? And before anybody can tell him the truth, Eve steps in and lies and says that, you know, we just want you to stay overnight. I don't know. It was stupid because he wants to leave the hospital, and everybody, like, there's so many people standing there right now. It's Sheridan, Louise, Pilar, Eve, Edna, Beth. I think that's everybody plus Antonio.
Yeah.
Everybody's standing around, and he's like, yeah, I just want to go home. I'll come back tomorrow for whatever checkup you need, doc. Everybody is insistent that he stay at the hospital. Every single person. He's just like, I mean, I guess. But yeah, that's suspicious. Why is everybody like, yeah, you insist that you stay in the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
But,
and he's like, all I need is Sheridan. I don't need any medical
Also,
attention.
it's so awkward when guys can't read that. Like, she's clearly not into you anymore. Like, it's awkward. She's being really nice to him, but she's not, like, being, I don't know.
affectionate. She's not being affectionate with him at all.
So awkward to just hear him being like, well, at least we're together, right? Like, toots. And it's just like, oh my God. Read the room. Like,
they've turned him into Simone.
Yeah. Yes, they have. Yes, exactly.
They've turned him into Simone. So they send him back to his hospital room, and then Eve tells Pilar. Later, Eve tells Pilar that she's going to order Antonio a sedative so that he can get a good night's sleep.
You want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves?
And I just thought that was so funny. She's
Yes.
like, he needs to stay calm. He needs to, because that's her go-to.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what's wrong with him, but she's going to give him some drugs.
Yeah, she wants everyone to take her drugs.
I don't know what's wrong with you, but here's something to knock you out.
So you can sleep.
So you can sleep. Yeah, so that's where
But
we
she
are.
obviously doesn't have anything strong enough to keep his calm down and be able to take these news.
Yes.
I want to say that's the end of my notes, so I'm just going to, wax about this now. I hate what this storyline is, what it has become. I didn't think I could hate it more than when they were on the island and she was dropping trays of water and couldn't walk. And I hate this so much. We don't know. He's sick. We don't know what his illness is, but all we know is it's an illness where he can never have any bad news. What?
Yeah.
Or he'll die.
He'll die.
It's fatal. I don't know. I hate this. I think it's lazy writing. I think it's extremely lazy writing. Like, they didn't want
It's
to.
a soap opera. So you know.
Yeah, but even for a soap opera, this is lazy. Even for a soap opera, this is lazy.
Yeah.
They could have made up something, right? They could have at least made up something and said, he's got a super rare blastoma, something.
Something's wrong with his phalange.
Yeah, there's something wrong with his medulla oblongata, and like, you know, and it's extremely rare, but you know, here are the symptoms, and but no, it's just like we don't know what's wrong with him, but let's keep him calm. It's like, why? If you know that bad news will kill him, then you know what's wrong with him, but you're just not telling me what it is.
Yeah.
Because it must have something to do with a specific part of the brain, and maybe there's a blood clot or something. Like, what is it?
Yeah. No.
Anyway, that's it. Y'all have anything to add to them?
He does ask Luis about, hey, what about this double wedding? And Luis,
he does.
We're gonna talk about that later.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be great. I can't wait to talk about that later.
Oh god, stupid double wedding. All right, so we're gonna now move on and talk about troubled marriages. We haven't had like any Ivy and Sam stuff in a while.
Yeah,
but they're ramping that back up. They're reminding us there's not a lot to talk about here. It's mostly recap and telling us, hey, we're gonna get back to this storyline soon. So here's the recap, right? Mm-hmm. So Ivy rolls into the living room at the mansion, and she's like, what are you doing in here? And it's dark, and then the lights come on, and it's Julian sitting in the corner by himself. He's like, this is my house. Why shouldn't I be here? And so it's obvious she thought that somebody else would be there, right? Yeah. And they kind of banter back and forth for a little bit, and then she rolls out to the terrace, wherein she meets David. Everybody remember David? Yeah.
I don't want to.
Remember this guy?
Yeah.
They brought him back. So we haven't seen David in so long. It's been I believe the last time we saw David was that episode when Chad and Whitney were outside of the music studio, and that's when, because he was with TC and Eve that night randomly. I don't know if you remember, but I think that's the last time we saw him, was when they kind of like said that Chad could be with Whitney.
Oh,
so it's interesting. That's just an interesting connection. Anyway, David shows up, and he recaps. He tells us everything we all already know about why he's there, that Ivy set up this plot and this scheme for him to pretend to be Grace's husband, to break up Sam and Grace, yada, yada, yada.
That was obviously for the audience. Yeah,
it was all for the audience. It was like, if you don't know, because we haven't talked about it in a long time. Yeah. So if you don't know, let me remind you all of Ivy's misdeeds, right?
Yes.
They bring up the DNA test, bring up John, all of it. And then Ivy just tells him, you need to break up Sam and Grace. That's what I hired you for. And so you need to do that. And so he then leaves. Julian comes out because he thinks she's talking to Sam. He's like, where's your lover, Sam Bennett? And he's looking for him because he sees her out on the terrace. He's like, who is she talking to?
Yeah.
And so when he comes out there, he finds nothing. She's like, I was talking to myself. He's like, you don't talk to yourself. I know you were up to something, but y'all aren't married anymore. So I don't know why you're acting like she's cheating on you out here. Y'all aren't married, and you have been knocking down Rebecca for like the better part of a year. So
I think it's just old habits. Because remember, they used to quip at each other all the time.
Yeah. It's just weird that he would be like, he almost seemed like he was a scorned lover, right? Like he almost seemed like he was being cheated on, like he was her husband. I guess they were husband and wife for so long that it's very hard to kind of fall out of that, Yeah.
And he's a bit narcissistic, so all his women are his women.
Yeah. So anyway, that was it. That is not plot. It doesn't matter, because then they go back inside, and that's when Sam shows up, and we will talk about what's going on with Sam a little bit, or with Sam and Grace a little bit later in Magic. But basically, Sam is there to question Julian about his disappearance, right? That he basically faked his own death, and that there will be an investigation about it. I didn't write it down. It wasn't important. It didn't last long because, and we all know Sam's not going to investigate a goddamn thing. No. We all know that even if he does, quote, investigate, he's not going to find anything. And we all know that Julian will see no repercussions for the crimes he's committed. So, but he's like, yeah, the DA is on my ass about you and whatever.
Mm-hmm. But he seemed more interested in, like, why is Julian gone? Like, trying to almost catch him out. Oh, you only did this so that Theresa can die, which is all true. How about the fact that someone shot him? We still don't know who shot him.
That's true. You're right. We still don't know who shot him.
And that's what Julian should have been asking. Like, well, can you figure out who actually shot at me?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I didn't want to come, and that is actually kind of what Julian says to him when Sam asks him, like, why didn't you come back? Why did you leave? He's like, well, somebody shot me. It shouldn't be a hard leap for you, detective. Why I didn't want to be in town when somebody shot me and you hadn't caught the culprit. So yeah, this whole little thing doesn't really go anywhere. Honestly, the plot device here, the reason Sam is really there, if we're talking about it on the writing level, is so that Sam can tell Julian that Timmy has died, because this is basically the only way to break the news to him. Like, this is the only way for him to have found out somewhat organically. Yeah. So, because Ivy asks Sam, like, how's your niece? I know she was hurt, and he says, she's alive. She got a heart transplant, actually, from Tabitha's grandnephew and grandnephew Timmy. And Julian hears this, and he's like devastated. He's
his little buddy, like, he really cared about him.
Yeah,
it brought me close to tears, that montage.
I cried. Do you hear me? I cried. I didn't boo-hoo, but I definitely was like streaming tears. It was sad.
Especially knowing that he passed away.
I think that was the bigger portion of it, is that he actually died. So that
guy really did like that actor. Like, they really had fun together doing that. So
yeah, so we get a Timmy and Julian montage. It was fun. It was sad. It made me cry. Julian, at one point after the montage, it cuts to him and he's like wiping tears away. Ivy's like, good God, are you crying? Because they don't realize how close he and Timmy have been.
He's grown at all. He's grown a little bit. No one knows it yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Julian has had like a huge character development arc that nobody was a party to except for Timmy.
Right. That must be why he's so sad, because then it's like, no one knows my light now.
Yeah, nobody knows what I've done, what I've been through.
Now.
Yeah. So yeah, he cries and Ivy's surprised, and Julian says, poor Tabitha, she must be absolutely devastated. I need to go see Tabitha. And so he heads off to Tabitha's house, which we'll get to at the end. Sam turns to Ivy and says, I actually came to talk to you too, Ivy, about something, but we don't know what that something is. We kind of cut off there.
Yeah.
David goes over to Grace's house where she's alone and sad, and he comforts her. And we'll talk about why she's sad coming up. We're going into magic right now. Actually, do y'all have anything to add to the troubled marriages stuff before?
Are you going to go back to Grace and David?
Why? What'd they talk about?
No, I just wanted to point out how kind of giddy she seemed to see him.
Oh, yeah, you can say that right here, right now.
Okay.
I was like, why would I go back to them? They didn't talk about anything.
She just, like, her attitude toward him, it was just,
she was happy to see him.
Happy and giddy to see him.
Well, and also he like held her hands, and she was holding his hands, telling the story as if he was like her priest or something. It's like, it was very intimate, and it was like kind of surprising to see. I don't know.
Grace.
Yeah, Grace.
Because before Sam left, she got like a headache because they were going to spend time together, but then he gets the call from the station, and that's when he's being told, like, you got to go investigate, and that's when he leaves her.
But he was gonna stay. She told him, no, I know it's important, you should leave. Girl, you're sick, your head hurts, you're having trouble. Like, whatever, great. I can't stand these, like, I'm so selfless.
I hate
at
it.
my own detriment, to my own detriment. Women.
I'm just like, okay, bye. Like, have
Yeah.
fun being a martyr or whatever. I don't actually think it's cool.
Yeah. Don't be just like say what you need. And at that moment, she needed Sam to stay there with her, but she decided to tell him to leave, even though he was fighting with the DA, saying like, no, my wife's sick. I'm gonna stay here with her. My niece just almost fucking died. Yeah. Right? Like, get somebody else to do it. There are other cops in this town. Get someone else to do it.
Yeah.
And why tonight?
Why? Yeah. Why tonight? He'll still be there tomorrow, probably.
Julian isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. He just got back.
Isn't that right when she had the triangles like vision where she would like draw it on the couch? That I would stay with someone if they had a weird episode like that, because I would be like, maybe they have a tumor that's like, I don't know, it just sounded tumor-esque.
Grace could have had a seizure at any moment. That's what she was so upset and like having so much pain.
Having visions. It's like, okay.
Yeah. So all right, let's talk about Magic. Zombie Charity has showed up in Charity's hospital room. And she brought a gift for her in a gift box, and she says it's full of heartache and pain. She opens it and it's a remote control, and she uses it to put a picture, a vision on the heart monitor. And it's a vision of what lies ahead for the two of you. And it's Miguel leaving with Kay, and Kay saying, better luck next time, Charity. You know, same old. And this line did make me laugh. Zombie Charity said, after she shows it to her, she says, doesn't it make you wish you just stayed dead? Which is funny. That was funny. Yeah. Meanwhile, Simone and Kay are like outside of the hospital room, and Miguel has like gone to get soda because that's what he does. If he's not getting hot chocolate, he's getting a soda. And Simone's just being annoying to Kay about Kay, and it's like either you're the girl's friend or you're not.
She's not. I kept thinking that. What a horrible friend.
Yeah. You know, if Kay's so awful and she's so evil, which
with her.
I agree. I actually do agree that Kay is awful. I wouldn't want to be friends with Kay acting like this. Like, no.
It's awful. It doesn't give you a right to berate that person for being awful. Like, it's like,
constantly.
Yeah, you're the one that's friends with her, calling her your best friend. I'm not hanging out with somebody that I think is evil. Like, there's no and it's not even like she's trying to get her to change, right? She's just
like a better person. I think.
Yeah, she's
it's so bad, Kay.
Yeah, she's just trying to make Kay feel bad, and she's just trying to make herself. She's trying to make Kay out to be like this horrible, evil person, not hearing her out at all. Which, again, I will say, Kay has been doing some horrible stuff. Absolutely, yes, I agree. But like, I just think that Simone, that's just not a friendship. You're learning a friendship. No. Anyway, so Kay turns the conversation on to Simone, saying if Chad loves you so much, because Simone says like the Charity and Miguel's love is pure like mine and Chad's, and Kay's like, if Chad loves you so much, why isn't he here with you right now? And then Simone's like, well, look at this card, and she gives Kay the card to read, and that she got with the flowers, right? And Kay reads it, and it's like, I love you forever, you're the love of my life. And Kay notes there's no name on the card. This could be for anybody. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Kay. Somebody had to say it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she says, how do you know it was for you? And then they have a conversation wherein they both compare themselves to Theresa for some reason. This was weird. I was like, why are we using Theresa as an example of anything that we want to be like? Because...
And also she equates her to goodness.
Yeah, it was so weird.
And then she's like, oh, and Ethan and Theresa slept together, so you know they're meant to be. How do you know that?
Yeah.
They slept together?
Yeah.
Like, how does anyone know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Kay, they both come. I think Simone first like says, our love is pure like Theresa and Ethan. That's why something like that. And Kay says, you're not like Theresa. I'm like Theresa. She's just like me. She'll do whatever she has to. She'll use what she can to get what she wants. And look where she is. She lives in the Crane Mansion, and she's probably going to end up with Ethan. And she says, if she and Ethan wind up together, it's because they're, oh no, that's what Simone says. If she and Ethan wind up together, it's because their love is pure and mutual, like mine and Chad. And Kay says, no, Simone, if they end up together, it's because she's smart, like I am. Girl, you certainly aren't smart. But she says, because she's smart, like I am. We both made love to the men of our dreams. Once you've made that connection, you'll do whatever you can to keep it, even if it means breaking a few rules and or telling some lies. I don't know. I think this is beyond breaking a few rules, right?
Summoning demons like from hell to kill people. She's like, yeah, you have to do some things.
Yeah, you break a couple of rules. What a big whoop. So that's when Miguel finds them, catches up with them, and they all hear Charity scream from her room. And so they run to check on her, and she's on the floor. They find her like down on the floor next to her bed, and Miguel helps her up back into the bed, and she tells them that the zombie Charity was there, and that she was saying that things were about to get so much worse for them. Things are not going to get better. Things are going to get a lot worse. Lots of pain and suffering are coming for us. And Miguel says to her, oh, that couldn't have happened. You're just dreaming. Oh my God. Where's my button?
Need some rest. You're just tired.
Brother, this guy stinks.
This irritated me beyond belief, because this girl has been through it, right? And we've seen so many things, and that demon Charity or whatever was a demon, like a zombie. Y'all calling her zombie.
Yeah.
Like, it's not crazy that she might have seen her again. And Miguel's like, no, we defeated her in the cave. She's not coming back. It was all a dream. You just think that he doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on that. And I actually, for once, I was like proud of Charity for standing up to him and kind of like sticking up for herself and saying, no, I know what I saw. She insists. I saw it. It was real. She was here. But Miguel just keeps beating her down, saying, no, you were dreaming. That's not real. Whatever you saw or think you saw, it's not real. And then he says, tell her, Kay. Tell her it's not real. Kay's like, tell her what?
Such an asshole. Yeah, she just won't.
That was funny.
What was in the vision? Like, he was asking her to confirm that, I'm never going to leave Charity for Kay.
Right. And which is, again, he's being a jackass. I'm sorry, because he literally had sex with Kay, whether he thought it was magic. Whether he meant to or not, he knows that he did have sex with Kay. And so and that Kay has feelings for him, and they've had like this conversation wherein she's cried to him saying like, I thought that you thought it was me, right? Like, I thought that you had finally come to me. And for him to turn to her and say, tell her, Kay. And Kay says, tell her what? And he says that we're never going to be together, and that we're never going to be a couple, and I would never leave her to be with you. Kay doesn't say a damn thing. She keeps her mouth shut. And then that's when the wind blows in.
Yes.
From Tabitha, which we'll talk about what Tabitha's doing. Just know that this is Tabitha's like way of like amping up everybody's emotions and making people be more harsh, like you said with Ethan earlier.
Yeah. And actually, we didn't bring it up, but I think that's also why Sheridan was extra harsh with Louise. Was the same reason.
I think you're right. Yeah, that I think that's why that conflict got kind of really heated. Yeah, 100%. I also think that's why Luis, like, because he was apologizing at first, and then he stopped. He refused to apologize, and then they started to like argue with each other. And I agree. I think that was the wind.
The wind.
I think it was the wind.
Was that weird. I couldn't tell what it was. It was really bad.
It was some kind of tube.
I thought it was a rock. Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
I think it looked like a toilet paper roll that had been painted with metallic paint.
That's probably what it was, actually.
Yeah.
So anyway, Miguel tells Kay to tell her that none of that will ever happen, but Kay's like, Nothing. She doesn't say anything. That's when the wind blows in. And Kay says to Charity, don't worry, Charity. Everything will work out just the way it's supposed to. Okay, girl. Okay. Okay. We like that. All right. That was a good. Oh, don't worry, Charity. Everything will work out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That can mean a lot of
Which
things.
Simone did sort of mention later.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course
She's
she
like,
did.
I know what you said.
Yeah, and I know what you meant. And it's like, girl, what? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not being so insightful.
I want to hang out with someone who's like morally like more on it than me and pointing it. I would just be like, you have to go. Like it just is so annoying. And
go be friends with Charity because you're always talking her up.
Oh yeah, definitely the same level as Charity.
That's how I feel too. I think I said that last week. I was like, she should just be best friends with Charity because you are not best friends with Kay.
Also, and also Kay's not going to change, so she's just consistently telling her shit about her character just to do that. It's not going to change.
Yeah, and just to go back to the conversation of it's never a conversation where she's like trying to give her alternatives. It's never, it's always just beating her down and telling her Miguel will never love you. Yeah. And I think that's another difference between these sisters, Simone and Whitney, because Whitney, while Whitney disagrees with Theresa a lot and Theresa's like tactics and Theresa's like her thought processes, she always tells her like, I disagree. She's like, you should just do X, Y, and Z, right? Like, instead of being like, Theresa, you're so awful. Because she could very easily be like, Theresa, you're so awful.
Attack Theresa's character, and like that's what they do over here.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's her ride or die. Like she's always trying to get her onto a better path with better options. But if she's gonna do something crazy, she's gonna back up her girl.
Yeah. 100%. So now let's talk about Grace. Grace shows up. And honestly, the Grace and Kay stuff was so compelling this week. Yes. Like there was a lot of it. I think it's the most Grace has ever talked to her daughter. To be honest.
I think it's Kay's point.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Grace shows up and she sees that Charity's like flushed and she's like, oh, Charity, is there something wrong? And that's when Charity tells her the zombie Charity was there. But she says, but Kay made me feel much better by saying that Miguel and I would be together and that she would never be with Miguel or some shit that Kay did not say. Something that Kay didn't say.
Yeah. Which caused Grace to turn around and look at her daughter because she knew. She was like, you're up to something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was so weird because it's not that Kay had said anything to Grace. It was Charity who was saying it. So Grace didn't have any real reason to like shoot that evil eye at Kay. I think yes, Kay is up to something, but Grace doesn't actually know that. And I think that's what bothers me. And I think it's what bothers Kay too.
Yes.
So she shoots like this kind of mean, evil glance at Kay. Like, yeah, I'm on to you, Kay. And then she tells Kay, I want to talk to you. She takes her outside and she says, I want to talk to you. And Kay says, good, because I actually want to talk to you too. There's some stuff we need to get straight, mother. And Kay says, why were you giving me the evil eye in there? And why am I always the bad guy with you? And Grace says, well, I know that you have feelings for Miguel. You're my daughter and I love you, but, and Kay interrupts her and says, you could have fooled me. Things are about to get real contentious over here. You could have fooled me, Mom, because the only thing that I see that you care about is Charity. That's it. But Grace tries to continue. She says, Kay, she's like, I need to ask you, did you bring evil back to Harmony? Are you the one trying to break up Charity and Miguel? Are you trying to break them up so that you can have him for yourself? Kay is so interesting. And I think it's because I don't like Grace. Kay was wrong in all of this, but I was rooting her on, right? Like, because I think 10% of it isn't wrong. I think she was wrong 90%.
There was some truth in what she was telling her. She did put everyone else before her.
which is how you successfully gaslight somebody, right? There has to be a little bit of truth in what you say, right? Which is what Kay is doing. She masterfully like gaslights and guilts her mom. She brings her to tears. She tells her, you treat me like a second class citizen. You're always taking Charity's side over me. You're always accusing me of something. And she says, you know how I feel about Miguel, yet you still say that Charity and Miguel should be together. Why? Because Charity wants it, and you want Charity to have what she wants, basically is what she says. What Charity wants is more important to you than what I want. And it's so interesting because I started to think, yeah, actually, like Rebecca wants Gwen to have Ethan because Gwen wants Ethan, right? Like and I'm not saying that Grace should be like Rebecca at all. I'm absolutely not saying that. But as we've said multiple times, Rebecca is the most attentive mother.
She is.
Right? Like she's the most attentive. And I think that's more, a mother should take their kids' side or at least be more sympathetic. I do think Grace should be more sympathetic to the fact that Kay is in love with Miguel and that it hurts her to see Miguel and Charity together. I understand her taking issue with Kay trying to break them up, right? Because it's wrong. It is wrong. But I do think she has no sympathy for Kay. Like literally when Kay told her that she was in love with Miguel, she was like, you think you're in love with Miguel? Yeah. Right? Like she didn't validate her in any way whatsoever.
But Kay doesn't like Kay is so sketchy. From like episode 1, her vibe has been like she's sketchy and doing sketchy things. Like I could see why parents would be like, you have a nasty attitude, and like not like just because she thinks he's hot, he doesn't think she's hot. He thinks she's hot, and then they like each other. So it's like it doesn't matter that you like him. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I agree and I disagree, right? Because I feel like Miguel has told her multiple times if Charity hadn't come to town, we would be together, right? Yeah, he also has kissed her on multiple occasions. Yes. Now he's also had sex with her. So not on purpose, not on purpose. I know it wasn't on purpose, but we can just add that to the list of things.
From her perspective.
Right.
We can add that to the list.
Right. And I think with Kay, with Grace, it's just her lack of sympathy for Kay in her knowing her teenage daughter has the, even if she doesn't think that it's true love, right? Even if she thinks that her daughter's just like deeply infatuated with this boy, she should understand that's like hard for her to see them together.
Yeah.
You know, and she should understand that.
She shouldn't be so like supportive of Charity as to more just being like a matter of fact about who Miguel wants to be with.
Yeah, I think she should be a neutral party in it.
Yeah.
I think she should be neutral. I get her not necessarily backing Kay in trying to get with Miguel because, like you said, what's Miguel's choice? Miguel's choice is Charity, right? Yeah. So I get her not like trying to help her like scheme and do shit like that. I'm not saying that's what Grace should be doing. I just think she should be more sympathetic to Kay's feelings, and she does not consider Kay's feelings, and I think that's why that's another reason why Kay is so upset, and I think that's that 10% of truth that Kay is telling, right?
Yeah.
So Grace says, "I know you have feelings for Miguel. You're my lover. You're my lover. Oh my God." You're my daughter, and I love you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Grace says she asks her if she brought evil back to Harmony. Kay starts kind of going in on her issues with Grace as a mother, right? Yeah. And
she's putting Charity before her, Noah, Jessica, John, and even Ethan.
And he's not even a blood relation, is what she says. He's not even a blood relation, and you put him before me. You care more about his feelings than you do mine. And then Grace tries to tell her, you know, you're my daughter, I love you dearly. But Kay says, all you care about is Charity's life. You want it to be perfect. You want it to be peaches and creams for her. But when it comes to my life, my dreams, and my happiness, you couldn't care less. I mean, it's like you don't even care about me at all. And then Grace is like, well, Charity just had a heart transplant. And I loved that Grace was like, because she's confused, right? She's like, I mean, yeah, I care about Charity but we also need to put this in perspective. Like, Charity just like died and had a heart transplant. Like, she, of course, right now my focus is on her, as it should be. And I did appreciate that Grace brought that up. But Kay wasn't having it. She doesn't give a shit.
She's like, the second she walked into the house, I lost a mother.
Yeah, because Grace tells her to have some sympathy for you. Do you have no sympathy for your cousin? She lost her mother, and I lost my sister. You have no sympathy for the two of us. And yeah, Kay says she was only an orphan for a little while.
Not even an orphan.
That was so funny. I was like, Kay, what are you saying? We're going off the rails, babe. What are you saying? She's like, she was on an orphan for a little while, because once she set foot into our house, it was like she became your daughter and I became the orphan. Actually, I'm the orphan, Mom.
Well, and she wasn't actually even upset about any of that. She just knew that was what would kill her mom. She was just upset because her mom asked her a direct question that was like, did you do something weird? And she did. And so she freaked out. And I've had
she never did answer the question.
Where you ask them a normal question, and because they're a sketchy person, they blow up and they make it about something else, and then they put it on you. And it's like, Mom, you never loved me. And it's like, what? What are you even going on about? Like, she asked me about something over here.
You are 100% right. Yep. That's exactly it's what narcissists do. Yeah. Right? Like that's narcissist playbook Deflection. 101. Right? No, we were talking about this thing, but now I'm going to talk about how you've hurt me.
Right.
Yeah.
And never answer the original question ever again.
And it's so interesting that she refuses to answer the question, considering you had no problem bringing the damn demon to life. You don't have a problem just lying to your mom and saying, no, I didn't bring evil to harmony. Yeah. Why wouldn't she just say no instead of doing all of this? Like, and if it were me,
I don't know.
If I were Kay, I would have said no and then also did all of this, right? Yeah. Like, no, I didn't do that, and then start crying. You hate me. You never loved me. You love Charity way more than me. You think I'm evil.
Maybe she wouldn't answer the question because she knew her mom could tell one way or the other. She's lying. She's not lying. When you ask your kid something, you're looking at their face and you say, did you do this? And they say a lie. You can tell, you can feel it.
Yeah. Or maybe she just didn't think that her mom would believe her anyway.
Yeah.
That she could say no and she's going to be like, I don't believe you. Well, then why am I answering the question?
I think that's also a very good possibility too. But yeah, Kay lays into Grace, tells her that she's the worst fucking mother ever. To her, to everybody else, she says you're a great mother to everybody but me.
Yeah.
And then Grace says, I lost my sister and your cousin lost her mother. Evil took your cousin's mother away from her. You don't have any sympathy for me and Charity. And Kay says, well, if Evil did that, I'm really shocked that you're not blaming me for it because I've got the whole Evil connection going on, right, Mom? And she says, I mean, that's what you're accusing me of, isn't it? Besides, Mom, she wasn't an orphan for long. This is when she said that. She wasn't an orphan for long. You and Dad took her in and you started treating her better than you treat me, your real daughter. Though she wasn't an orphan for long really threw me off.
That's not the point at all. She just lost her parents. Like
she's still an orphan.
Well, her mom. Yeah. We never find out who's her father, right?
No. I have no clue who her dad is.
On the road or something.
Does it come out later?
Yeah, is that like something that comes out in the show later?
Oh, you're asking. I'm asking. We're all asking. I don't think so.
None of us know. Well, we'll see. No.
So then Grace tries to calm her down. She it's like honey and tries to grab her. And Kay says, "Get your hands off of me, you bitch!"
Yeah. Oh my God, I could not stop.
That's when you get slapped.
Yes.
Punched, gut punch. Do you hear me? My mama would put me in a headlock and body slam me. Not now because she's old and frail, but when I was 16, 17, and my mom was, young, much younger and still at her physical peak. Oh, that lady would have body slammed me,
Calling your
truly.
mom a bitch is just so fucked. And like
To her face?
Right to her-
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, as kids, we would get in trouble for less offensive. You couldn't roll your eyes.
Honey,
Yeah.
I couldn't use the word lie. I couldn't say, "Oh, that's a lie," to either of my parents. Otherwise, I would be in a lot of trouble. Could not say that it was like, "Oh, that's so." Please, if I ever said bitch to my mom,
Yeah.
and it's so interesting because now me and my mama have such an open, honest relationship, and I'm a grown ass person now, so it's like we cuss a lot on the phone, like, but it was a long time where I had my mom had never heard me say a cuss word, right? Yeah. But it's just so funny to think about how your relationship evolves over time. But when I look back on 2005, 2004, Serrana, that lady would have body slammed me. I mean, clothesline, body slam. What's the WWE? What was that Stone Cold Steve Austin used to do? Whatever, I can't remember. But yeah. It would have been very, can you smell what the Rock is cooking? She would have took me down.
Would have started turning into like Hulk Hogan, like,
and I have expected Grace to slap her. I did.
When she came back that second time, that was her slapping energy. She didn't do it, but she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so pissed at you right now. Like, I'm coming back for a second."
Yeah, because so Grace is really hurt after Kay says, "Get your hands off of me, you bitch," and she's like crying, and Grace is hurt. She starts to cry, and Kay says, "You're my mother, yet you still treat me like I'm some kind of problem that you wish you didn't have." She says, "So I may as well act like your bastard child." And then Grace finally shuts Kay down and says, "I am your mother and I deserve your respect and I am going to have it." But she does not, in fact, get any respect. No respect. She gets no respect.
You kind of have to earn respect. I hate when they're like, "You have to respect me because I'm your parent." You can't be shitty either.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna say about that, because I agree, but not in this. It doesn't pertain to this scenario, because Grace, as much as we give Grace shit, she doesn't deserve this at all, and she does deserve respect from Kay. She's been. We don't agree with her a lot on how she has treated Kay, but she's not entirely wrong, right? Like when she thinks that Kay has done something wrong, Kay has done something wrong. We just don't like the way she approaches Kay.
Yeah.
Right?
She doesn't respect Kay.
Yeah. Well, I think she does respect Kay. I think she doesn't respect Kay's antics. I think that's what it is, right? I think she doesn't respect. I don't think she respects Kay's feelings for Miguel. I will say that. Yeah. I think she is very disrespectful when it comes to Kay's feelings as it pertains to Miguel. But I think in the years before we come into this show and see them all together, they start out this show as a very happy family, right? We start out, there's no issues between Grace and Kay, really.
No.
So I don't think Grace has done anything to deserve this level of disrespect at all.
It's what the shit that Kay has gotten herself into is what makes that seem appropriate or something. I think Kay is like bringing everything weird to the table.
Yeah, I think, here's what I think. I think that a lot of these feelings that Kay I think they're legitimate feelings. I think she really does feel like this. I don't think this is like a fake, a ploy or nothing. I think she really, because she did, when she was disguised as Charity, she did hear her mom say, "I wish Kay was more like you," right? And there have been instances between the two of them where we as an audience look at Grace sideways like, "Wow, Grace, that's not very motherly. That wasn't that's not very
She
kind."
saw her mother kissing David.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, she did see her mom kissing David. Yeah. And I don't think she ever said anything about that to anybody but Grace. I think you're absolutely right. I think part of some of her anger is definitely about the David situation too. I didn't even make that connection. So, thank you. But anyway, Grace says I'm your mother and I deserve your respect. On the subject of respect, I think that everybody on a human level, there's a certain base level of respect you give every single person, regardless, right? Like, it's not, I'm not of the mind of like respect is like earned on a basic human level of like, you don't, call your mother a bitch to her face, right? Like, that's just basic human shit. But so yeah, I think she does deserve way more respect than Kay is giving her right now. I do.
I just don't like it whenever it's like, I'm your mother, you have to respect me.
Yeah,
that kind of rubs me the wrong way when you're telling them and demanding it.
I think if we look at that kind of line and we draw a line to Beth and Edna, I would be like 100% with you on that. Like, Edna doesn't deserve Beth's respect.
No. None.
Like, because you can do, people deserve a baseline of respect, but you can also do things that are so disrespectful that makes me disrespect you, right? That make me say, oh, I don't respect you. You can, you can't get negative respect from me based on how you act. You can lose respect. If we talk about a mother like Edna, just because you gave birth to Beth and then have been horrible to her entire life, you think she owes you respect? Absolutely not. And Beth gives Edna more respect than I could possibly ever muster for that lady. Truly.
I would not be around her ever. Like, she should never be around her for the rest of her life.
Yeah. She is so lucky that Beth takes care of her to the best of her ability.
She hasn't murdered her.
Because I, like you just said, no contact. We would not be in contact at all. That lady's crazy. All right, let's finish this up. Grace is very, very upset. She says, I'm going to walk away from this before I say something that I'm going to regret and leave, blah, blah, blah. Kay keeps yelling at her about how she's a bad mom, even though Grace is like trying to walk away. And then Grace finds Sam. She tells Sam what's going on. Sam's like, don't worry, I'll talk to her. I'll give her a real good talking to when she gets home. And they go home. That's when he gets the phone call. She gets these premonitions about these triangles. What are the triangles? Well, it's Tabitha, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but before that, there was a really good line that Kay said that actually made me chuckle, because Grace was like, I'm so confused. Where is this coming from? Kay's like, from life. It's not on the back of a box of a tomato soup cake, Mom.
Oh, I know that. I clocked that line too. Hilarious.
That was so funny. So Grace is getting visions of triangles. Let's very quickly talk about what's going on with Tabitha. She's plotting on the citizens of Harmony with her floating triangles, and she says that the worst pain she can give them is the pain of the heart, right? Zombie's like hanging out with her. Zombie Charity's like hanging out with her because she has no power anymore, really.
Right.
And so she's just there to see what's going on at this point, and just like watch it all happen. They revel in the mischief. They're very excited about the upcoming pain and suffering and Harmony.
Well, there's nothing like destroying lives to cure what ails one, is there?
But yeah, they're having a good time. Yeah. Tabitha's feeling better because she's getting back to basics.
Yeah, with the triangles. I mean, she's the reason why the Theresa thing went out of control. She's the reason why Luis also was going out of control. Even the Grace with Kay. Yeah. She had a hand in all of that. That's why there's so heightened emotions on all of it, and everything seemed way too extreme. Yeah, 100%. 100%. So yeah, the way she did that is that she makes this tube. She fashions this tube and she speaks a spell into it. She says, blow, blow, blow them away, blow through the lives of the hunted prey, ravage their hearts and plague their minds, tear through them all this very same night, kill their souls with all your might. And then she blows blue breath out of that thing, out of the window. And then everybody feels a chill in town. And then they all say things that they didn't necessarily mean to each other. And when she's like playing with the triangles and stuff, because she like
zaps them and is doing different things. Grace gets a vision of the triangles and she has a headache and she doesn't know what it means. Of course she doesn't. So
How could you know? Yeah.
I almost didn't even want to talk about it because it's like she doesn't know what it is and she's not gonna figure it out. But there is something else we need to talk about with this, and I'm trying to remember what that is. Oh, Tabitha. Tabitha talks about getting her revenge on the Cranes and the Bennetts specifically because 300 years ago they burned her at the stake, and she fantasizes about killing Julian specifically. She's like strangling him, and she's just like, how am I gonna get him? How am I gonna get him? And then ding dong, he shows up at her door and she's like, oh, just the man I wanted to see.
Yep.
And that's where we ended this week. Anything to add?
No. Julian does see the setup of the Martinis. That was
Yeah. So, yeah, Julian, I was shocked at how emotional I got watching Julian like get the news of Timmy's death. And I don't know, I think it was because they had just become close, and like you said, Jessica, Timmy was the only one who had seen his character development, and
and he really changed his heart, like, which is just such a big thing. And then I'm gonna go hang on my dog.
Timmy. All right, so that's it for the episode today. Jessica, where can the people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Fair Folk Trade, all one word. And also fairfolktrade.com is our website.
All right. And I'll put that in the description. Maria, where can the people find you?
You can find me on the Discord, or if you want to email me, you can email me at gwenfan329@aol.com.
All right. If you want to email her back and forth, correspondence. All right. And if you want to find me, if you want to talk to me, the best way to find me is, like Maria said, on the Discord, through the Patreon, if you want to just chit chat. And with that, you are my passion for life.